Hi y'all, good morning. Hopefully you can see okay as a fish splashes right here first thing, trying to get a cameo right from the start, man. But it's foggy out here this morning, y'all. I actually waited a little later to come out here today just to try to let this fog burn off where we can see something. But what I've done is I've come down to a place called Watts Bar Dam. It's on Chickamauga Reservoir. Watts Bar Dam is the top of it, basically. It's up there, but you can't see it through the fog right now. But what I want to do today is bring y'all with me on a little combination trip. I'm in the mood to do some ultralight fishing today, but we got to get us some bait. So we're going to try to do both right here. I'm going to troll my way up, throwing out my skipjack rigs. We'll try to catch some skipjack on the way up through here. And then we get up to the riprap up here by the dam. We're going to bust out the ultralight rod, throw a gulp, just try to have us some fun with a variety of species. Bluegill, drum, bass, skipjack, they may eat that gulp too. Who knows? We could catch a variety of stuff. So we'll do that, and then we'll finish up maybe trolling some more and try to get us some bait for the next catfish trip. So I'm gonna bring y'all with me today, just unedited, raw and uncut, show you everything from right now when I'm making some cast here to get these trolling lines out to when we finish up today. Y'all gonna see it all. So I'm gonna put you in the chest. And we're gonna get rolling here, man. We're gonna see if we can't do a little combo trip, y'all. Knock out my urge to ultralight fish and catch us some bait all in the same trip. So let me show you my skipjack rigs here first. If you're new to my channel, this is what I use to catch skipjack, which is my preferred bait really for catfish out here on the Tennessee River. These are 1/8 ounce jig heads. I've got crappie magnet plastics there. It's white and chartreuse. That's on a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader that goes up here to 30-pound braid. And then I've got some medium heavy action bass rods here for this. And what we're gonna do, I got the same setup on both rigs here. So I'm just gonna throw out a little line there, cast length. We'll get this one thrown out, and then we're gonna just take off pedaling. I'm in my pedal kayak today. This kayak here, when I pedal, I'm normally going a casual pace. I'm gonna go somewhere 2 to 3 miles an hour, roughly. 2.5, 3 miles an hour. You know, it's just not an exact science when you're doing this trolling. The skipjack and white bass, we may catch some of those doing this trolling. We may catch some largemouth here trolling as well. But you know, any speed there between 2 and 3 miles an hour is you're gonna have a good chance at hooking into them if you put that bait in their face. So we're just gonna make our way up through here running these rigs. I just launched here at the launch right below the dam. We'll make a run up here to the riprap. Hopefully we'll maybe pick off something on the way. Then we'll throw our gulp for a while, hour, 2 maybe. And then we're gonna troll some more make a couple laps here and see if we can't get us enough catfish bait to last me a day or two. I definitely wanna go catfishing tomorrow. I think the weather the day after is a little questionable potentially, but I definitely need to get enough for tomorrow. So I've been on a dang good catfish bite lately, man. I've been getting some big cats, but also too, I woke up today, y'all, and I was just in the mood to go ultralight fishing. Sometimes you just wake up like, man, I want to catch a bunch of fish today, you know? I just want to, and I ain't been ultralight fishing in a little bit because I've been doing so well on the cats. It's pretty much been catfish or bait runs lately. And so I said, I got to come get me some bait today anyhow. And so I'm just like, you know, I bet you up here on this riprap right now, I could probably catch a variety of species on that gulp. I bet you there's probably some bluegill up there, but I mean, there may be some yellow bass. I caught on my bait run, I come down here last week and I caught a bunch of skipjack and I got some white bass. And so I'm like, you know, you throw a gulp around them, they're gonna tear them up too. So we may get some of those. There could be largemouth, smallmouth up here on these rocks. I mean, there just could be a variety of stuff up here, and every bit of it's going to be fun on that ultralight, man. So I'm excited about it. I'm pumped up about it. I want to catch me some fish today. We'll stock up on bait, and then I'm gonna be back out after the cats tomorrow. I've been fortunate really the last couple weeks to be on the cats like I have, because prior to that I was in a slump. I just couldn't, it didn't matter where I went, what I did, like I just could not hardly catch a catfish if my life depended on it. I mean, it was one of the worst slumps I can remember being in. But I've turned the corner on it now. I feel like you go from not being able to make contact with the ball to being a home run hitter overnight, man. That's what it feels like. So, what's that right there? Whatever that is, it's seen better days, ain't it? That fish was so dang rotted, I couldn't tell what it was. Yeah, I'm gonna leave y'all here in the chest today. Y'all gonna be my fishing partners out here. Feel free to, there's something jumping right up there. Feel free to help me reel in a fish if you want to. We got these 2 skipjack rods out. We're liable to double up here when we go through a school of them. These skipjack will be out here and they'll roam around. They're gonna be chasing schools of shad. And so they'll follow them around, and so you kind of get them sporadically down through here oftentimes. And then the other wild card in it is the predator fish like striped bass. They will be eating on the skipjack. So the skipjack, they are the predator and the prey. So they chase bait and they get chased. So they're all over the place. We might go through a stretch where we catch them here, and then boom, they're gone. And next thing you know, you're catching them over here somewhere, and then up there, like they're just all over. It's one of the reasons why I like trolling for them so much, because you just cover water. You run into them. Right there's something come up and hit top water right there. Y'all should have brought a top water plug with us today. I am gonna venture over here just a little bit to the left because I'm seeing more activity over here than what I am along the shore. So we'll kind of make our way along here inside of these buoys. I think that fog's about burned off enough now where we won't have any fear of getting run over. It was foggy this morning, buddy. I waited. It's after 8 o'clock right now. I got up this morning planning on coming out here at sunrise. And I let Daphne the dog out, and I saw how foggy it was outside, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna wait about an hour or so before I leave. Let it burn off, because all these fishing guides, the only place they know how to catch fish at's up here at the dams. And so they're out there with clients first thing in the morning, and I ain't about to get run over. So, that's fine. I can wait an hour, but we're going to catch us some fish today, y'all. I'm going to satisfy my urge to get a tug on the ultralight line. I'm already seeing up here on the right, y'all probably can't see through the fog and that far away on this camera, but there's a bird up there on the shoreline, and birds will tell you where the bait fish are. They ain't up there for no good reason. They ain't just sunbathing like these girls at the swimming pools, they're hunting. So you start seeing birds, you're in an area where there's going to be some bait fish. And if there's bait fish, there's probably some predator fish around. Now they are running a little bit of water this morning. Here we go. Y'all already hooked up. We got our first. We're doubled, y'all. Grab that other rod for me, would you? Grab that other rod over here, y'all. We got two lines going down here. I told you we'd go through them. We'd get doubled up. I need y'all's help today. You're supposed to be a fishing partner here. This is Skipjack here. Come on, Skippy. Get up in here. Get up in there. You sit right there, Skipjack. You sit right there and hang out while I reel in your friend. Well, we ain't even, We ain't had this camera going 10 minutes, y'all. We already got 2 of them. This one I'm reeling in now is a little bigger than the other one. All right, folks. Hey, we may get loaded up on bait before we even get up here to start ultralight fishing. Okay, buddy. Okay, business has picked up here, folks. Business has picked up. 10 minutes in, y'all. We open for business. There's one Skippy for you. Throw him in the cooler. This one here got tired of waiting on you. He said, I'll unhook myself. So he did. Okay, y'all. Well, let's throw our skipjack rigs back out. Let's get back to it again. I told you, man, you move along through here, you're gonna run into them. They're roaming around, and you're roaming around, trolling, and you're on a collision course for each other. You cover enough water, it's gonna happen. You got the line, y'all's reeling this one in here, you got the line wrapped around the rod tip. Y'all need to get it together today. I'm gonna need better out of you today than what you're giving me so far. All right, let's get back on the move, y'all. See if we can get some more here. But yeah, I guarantee you, we probably pedaled through them skipjack. And then, you know, how far is our lines behind? It's not very. 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet maybe. We pedaled through that school and then boom, here's our baits. Here's something I've wondered. And this, y'all may just totally scoff at this. This may be the dumbest thing you've ever heard. As that rod over there got hit. Didn't hook up. Well, this is a little theory. You can't call it a theory. A scientist would debunk this. We'll call it a hypothesis because I can't test it. But one of the things that I have thought about is that maybe, possibly, skipjack are drawn in to the motors. Like if a boat zooms by, or you know, today I'm in my pedal kayak, so I'm pedaling, my prop down there is spinning. Sound travels through water, right? Like sound travels through water a lot faster than it travels through air. So any noise we're making under the water, the fish know, they know we're there, right? Is it possible that skipjack are drawn, and other fish too for that matter, is it possible though that they're drawn in to that noise because when these bass boats and all these people have boats with outboards, when they're zooming up through here, their prop is turning right there under the surface, right? And so these schools of bait fish, threadfin shad, you'll oftentimes see them up near the surface. And they can swim fast, but let's be real, they're not out swimming a bass boat going 70 miles an hour down through there. So undoubtedly, some of them shad in them schools, occasionally that bass boat will zoom right through them and they'll get chopped up. And that's an easy meal for skipjack or any other predator fish that's maybe following that school of shad anyway. Here's another one. So with that thought in mind, hold on, this fish has got me sidetracked here, y'all. I'll finish my thought here in a second. This fish don't care about my thoughts. He's trying to get off the hook, and I want to land him because that's a skipjack right there. That's a nice skipjack too. We'll potentially catch 3 or 4 catfish on that thing. Come up in here, Skippy. And some people will say, well, Justin, and I've heard this before, Justin, you're using tackle, it's way too stout for these skipjack. Well, I am, if you look at it from a sport fish perspective. There he is, that's a little better one. But when I'm out here skipjack fishing, folks, I ain't looking for sport, I'm looking for bait. I want to be able to horse these things in. I want to be able, right there, I want to be able to just boat flip these things in, you know. You give them an opportunity to get off, they'll come jumping up out of the air and spit that hook. I don't want them spitting that hook, you know. So I use tackle that's stout enough to be able to kind of get control of them and be able to boat lift them in. Now you got, while I was reeling in that fish, y'all got that line around the rudder back there. So that's 3, y'all. We're in good shape here. We ain't even got up here where I wanted to start fishing at for the ultralight. Boy, look here. We may just go ahead and just get our bait here first thing and then ultralight fish the rest of the morning the way it's going. They're pretty thick right in here. We're gonna boat flip this one too if he'll allow it. Got that net up there, but I'd rather not use it on the skipjack if we don't have to, because of we'll use that net. My other jig will be all tangled up in it, and we'll spend so much time picking it out of the net that we won't be working as efficiently as what I'd like. There's just another one, man, that's 4. I'd like to have about a dozen or so. And I also brought my live bait tank too, so if we get like on the ultralight, maybe if we catch a small drum or some yellow, boy, look right here, I threw it out. We may need to just make some cast right here, because as soon as that hit the water, he's on it. Normally, I'm a big fan of trolling because it's just more efficient. You can keep 2 lines in the water at all times, but if you get on them real thick, then it's good to cast to them. And the fact that we're catching some, I got 2 on right here. 2 of them hit it as soon as it hit the water. Come in here, Skippy. There we go. Let's do this, y'all. We're gonna make some casts here since we're on them. Let's reel in our other one here before we unhook these. I'm gonna back us up too. We'll just make a few casts here, y'all. So what are we up to now? 6. We ain't even made it up here to where I want to start ultralight fishing. That and unhooked himself too. I got these things trained, man. I got them trained. I don't have to unhook them. They say they'll just do it themselves. I've taught them to be independent. That and there, he needs to read the instruction manual again. He couldn't get himself unhooked. Fix that back on. Yeah, I mean, we may just go ahead and get our bait now and then go ultralight fishing afterwards. How's that sound? Y'all flexible today? Make some cast here. If they're real thick right here, then we'll just sit here and just reel them in. Cast them for them. That's fun too. I just typically think trolling's more efficient by being able to keep multiple lines in the water. When you're reeling in one fish, the other line is still out there. But when you do get on them and they're real thick and you can sit there and just catch them every cast, well then you don't need to troll, you know. Then get up there and make you cast. I have fun reeling them in regardless. You know what I mean? Like they're a fun, hard pulling fish. We'll sit here and make casts, not get another bite. I don't get a bite soon, we'll get back after the troll. The thing is, sometimes this happens too, is when you're trolling, you just happen to be hitting a certain speed and a certain depth. And then you start casting and it's different than what you were. It's hard to replicate what your speed of when you were trolling. Oh, I had one hit me then. One swipe at it. Anyway, I was finished. Let me finish up my thought. Is it possible though, when these fish hear a motor go over, there's one. They hear a motor go over and it's like ringing a dinner bell to them. Because they know there's a chance that some shad are gonna be chopped up or injured. That's a better one. Boat flip him in. So if that is the case, they're busting right there, buddy. They're busting. If that's the case, then maybe trolling is the key. Even on like a inactive day, maybe you can possibly turn those fish on and get them feeding just because they hear your prop going over. And they're just conditioned to know, like, food, dinner, easy meal. I mean, these skipjack, I don't know how fast they can swim. I'm gonna back us up here just a little bit. I don't know how fast they can swim, but I will tell you, just from, reeling them in, they're fast. They're definitely a fast swimming fish. So a shad ain't gonna outrun them. Ain't gonna outswim them. I hear a bald eagle down there. I don't know if y'all can hear. I got the fancy pants microphone on today. My last trip, I went out with Ryan Bortz catfishing. I tried to put a microphone on him, and we couldn't get it to work. We could get mine to work. Here's another one. Or we could get his to work. Couldn't get them both to work. I saw another one down there too, under the water. Well, I figured out why. Me and technology, folks. Turns out it wasn't a problem with the microphones, it was a problem with me. The microphone transmitter thing, turns out it's touchscreen. I was trying to push the buttons on it, and yeah, come to find out it was a touchscreen that I needed to be adjusting to get to my settings. So the more you know, folks. The more you know. Skipjack, I've done lost count of here. What is that, 8? Yeah, we're just gonna catch a few more here. We'll catch us a few more and we'll be set, man. And then I got my bucket, which y'all forgot to put water in. It just dawned on me, I did not put any water in it there when I launched the kayak, so thanks for letting me forget that. That'll be a little bit of a chore in this kayak to get water in that thing, but we'll make it work if we need to. I've just been using the cut bait lately. I've been doing real good on cut skipjack. I tried white bass one day. Oh, there he is. There he is. Oh, I think we got 2. We got a twofer if we can keep them on. Let's see if we can get both of them. You think we can? You think we can get them both in? Nope, we lost one of them. Come up here, Skippy. Come up here. That's another good one right there. We'll get a few baits out of him. But while skipjack has been the bait that's been getting it done for me catfishing, it would be nice to try out a live bait just to see what would happen with it. So I just thought we might have a chance today of getting something. I don't really want to fool with any bluegill for live bait. But like if we were to get on some yellow bass or a smaller white bass, or especially if we got a drum that was like kind of in that 8 to 10 inch range, boy, I'd be percolating, y'all, if we got a drum in that 8 to 10 inch range. Holy cow. So we got our live bait bucket if we end up catching something like that. But we're gonna have to get some water in it, because y'all can't ever remember to do that before we leave the ramp. Current's got us drifting along here. Let's make another cast and then we'll pedal up just a little bit and drift back down through this area. They seem to be kind of all up in here in this area on these rocks. They've been real thick here lately. It's that time of year in the spring, they make their spawning runs. And so they go upriver. And out here on the Tennessee River, we got all these dams. And so when they make their run, they get stuck. Can't go any farther. And you can sit here and wear them out about another, well, some of them will be here all summer long, but they're in here in the thickest numbers in the spring. And so you can set up here and wear them out, buddy. We're wearing them out right now. Just gonna make a few more casts, and I need to count them up there. I got my little igloo cooler for this kayak, and I got about half of it full of ice, and so we ain't gonna fit too many more in there anyway. I thought we'd get about a dozen in there, somewhere thereabouts. Fortunately, how I've been fishing lately, I've been fishing out of this kayak with just 2 rod holders. So running 2 rods, I don't use a lot of bait. I don't need as many. You get me a dozen skipjack, that'll last me 2 trips. Because you know my trips are usually 4 or 5 hours long. I don't go out and fish all day like some people like to do. Me, I like to go out and catch my fish, have my fun, and call it a day. You know, I enjoy catching fish, but I don't, after a few hours of it, it just ain't as fun sitting in a kayak as much. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. I ain't a marathoner. So I've tried to get to the point with fishing where the techniques I do and when I do them allow me the opportunity for the most number of fish in short windows of time. So, for instance, you'll oftentimes see me fish, in the warm months, you'll see me fish sunrise up till about lunchtime. Well, you get out there them low light periods, sunrise, dawn, and then sunset oftentimes at about 30 minutes an hour before sunset till a couple hours after. That's another feeding window. And so you get more activity during that time period. And so I'll hit those areas, those time periods, just to try to maximize the number of fish I catch on the times I'm going to be out there. You know, I could go, let's say you went out and you wanted to fish 8 hours, and you go out and you fish from about noon to about 8 o'clock at night. Oh, I see one swipe at it. You go out there and you fish from noon to 8. Well, if noon to 4 ain't producing for you, well, you're wasting your time out there. And oftentimes it seems like when, for instance, you get the morning bite going, it seems like when the morning bite ends, there'll be a lull, like there'll be a time period where you just, nothing's happening. And I try to spend as much time as I can during the activity windows, and then when they're not feeding, well, you're just sitting there soaking baits for no good reason. I think these skipjack may have moved, y'all. Let's make a cast or two out in this direction. See if they maybe still here, but just a little. We kind of drifted in here, kind of the area where we were catching them, so throw out this way, see what happens one or two times. But we'll fish our way ultralighting up through here, and then I'll troll my way back to the launch today, and we might pick off some more. Yeah, they're moving a little bit of water right now because we're slowly drifting downstream. To the left over there, which you can't see through the fog, but to the left is the turbine area of the dam. When they generate, that's where the water comes through. And then over here to the right, which you can't see there either because of the fog, that's the lock area. So when, oh, there's one. Oh, two. Oh, boy, I got a school of them here. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you can see, but they were all swiping at them jigs. We got two of them on right now. I don't know if we'll keep them both on, but there was a whole school after them jigs, man. You just see them one after another. They was hitting them from every direction. Let's see if we can get them both in. Oh. There we go. Oh, y'all, that one right there is a nice one. Come here, Fit. You done? Yeah, you just stay right there in that little transducer hole, fish. This one here, he's got the jig down kind of in the gills. If y'all don't get this jig out quick, and he starts flopping, he is going to make a bloody mess all over me and you. Oh, crap. Crap, y'all. Y'all look away. There we go. YouTube's going to get me because we got this thing hooked a little deep there. Obviously, he's going in the cooler anyway, so that fish has got double whammy there. Oh. But I knew if he was going to start flopping, he was going to get it all over us. Man, oh man, we got some skippy here. We don't need much more, y'all. I think I've lost, well, y'all get all that blood out the floor there. Now, come on, clean this kayak up. You gotta clean up after yourselves here when you already just washed this kayak last week. Now we already got it dirty again. Yeah, we don't need many more, y'all. One or two more ought to do us. How far are we into this mess? Well, we're 30 minutes in. We already got a bunch. It's been an active morning out here. I hope when we start throwing the ultralight, I hope it's as active a bite with the other fish as what the skipjack has been. How awesome would that be? Because I definitely want to have some fun with that ultralight, man. I want to work my way up there toward that lock. I was trying to explain the turbines on the left, the lock areas on the right. That's where boats, barges, all that go through the dam system as they make their way up and down river. Again, this is Watts Bar Dam, so we're technically, because we're fishing below the dam, we are on Chickamauga Reservoir right now. Above the dam is Watts Bar Reservoir. All part of the Tennessee River. I'm having a good time out here, y'all. Sometimes skipjack fishing can be a chore. When they're not biting good, or you're not on them and you're making either a million casts if you're casting for them, or if you're trolling and you just cover mile after mile and you can't find them, they can be a little bit of a chore, but when you own them, they're fun. They're fun fish to catch. They can, even this, you know, I've got medium heavy action rods here. Bass rods, but boy, when you get a skipjack that's, say, in that 1 to 3 pound range, and then you get another one on, and some of these people, they'll run sabiki rigs and they'll have 5 or 6 hooks on there. Oh, he nailed it, buddy. I seen him come up and get it. I seen him come up just like a flash of lightning. But me personally, I don't like the sabikis. I don't like running rigs with that many hooks, because inevitably I'm gonna get a bunch of tangles, and I'm gonna spend a bunch of time picking out tangles. I catch plenty enough just running rigs with 2 jigs. And so I just don't see a need in it running that many. But boy, if you're using this tackle here that I got today, and you hooked about 5 of them at the same time, Lord Almighty, I'd break my rod trying to boat lift them in. Let's catch us about one more. And we're gonna go ultralight fishing, y'all. We'll make a run. Well, here, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna troll my way up here to where I seen that bird. Oh, well, we're gonna get another one right here, I guess. He come up, got it right there at the dang kayak, y'all. Come on in, Skippy. You probably gonna be the last one. I was gonna just throw this behind us and troll our way up through there, but we got so many now. We got plenty enough definitely enough for tomorrow, and assuming I get to fish the next day, we got enough for it too. Yeah, y'all, we're done catching skips, because this right here, my cooler there, y'all. I mean, I got that thing half full of ice down there, and then them things packed to the gills on that cooler, man. So we're good on that. Let's just troll up here. Just for duties and giggles, though. We'll throw this thing out just for the fun of it. Just because they're fun to catch. We'll throw us a rod out here as we troll along. Because I just want to go up here to where I started seeing them birds near the shoreline. And we'll go up here and start making our cast with the ultralight and see what we can get on it, and maybe see if we can get us something worth keeping as a live bait. When I get home today, boy, look right here, we didn't make it 5 feet, man. We didn't make it 5 feet. There's the thick right here. We're gonna be throwing back. These bait dealers will see this video. They sell these things around here. People, instead of coming out here and catching them damn selves, they'll pay these bait dealers $7, $8 a piece for them. These bait dealers will be salivating over here watching me throw these dang skipjack back, but I ain't gonna fit no more in that cooler. And I used to keep them in the freezer for hard times. I used to use a lot of frozen bait, but I've gotten I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I've gotten pretty proficient at catching skipjack all times of the year. Your lucky day, Skippy. Anybody else would keep you and sell you for about $8. But I don't have to keep very many in the freezer anymore because I can usually keep myself on. There are times when I struggle to locate them or find them, but for the most part, I can go out and keep myself on some fresh ones. And I'd always rather have fresh bait than frozen. I catch a bunch of fish on frozen skipjack, but fresh is always best. But them bait dealers, man, they'll be beside themselves seeing me throw back $7, $8 a piece right there. But when I get home today, what I'll do, I'll take them skipjack that's in my cooler and I'll put them in a big Ziploc bag, like them, I think it's 2.5 gallon size, I think, whatever the big jumbo size Ziploc bags they sell. And I'll put a few of them in there. And what I'll do, I got that other cooler on my other kayak, that Yeti cooler. I'll put a layer of ice down as we catch another one here, maybe two. I'll put a layer of ice. I'll put a Ziploc bag full of them skipjack on top of that ice, put more ice down, do another layer of skipjack, and then more ice. So that way them skipjack are packed in the ice, but they're not sitting in the ice. That way they're not just soaking in that water as it starts to melt. We had two on, we lost one. And then I'll probably end up fishing out of this kayak tomorrow, I assume. I don't know exactly where I'm gonna go tomorrow yet. I haven't 100% decided, so I may or may not be. It depends. Your lucky day, Skippy. It depends on what kayak I'm in, just how many skipjack I'll take, because if I'm in this one, I'll be fishing 2 rods. If I'm in my other one, I'll probably be doing 4 rods. But I'll move them skipjack into either, if I'm in this kayak, I'll stick them in this cooler. If not, if I'm in the other one, they can just, my other cooler's bigger, I can fit more in there. But you know what I'm trying to say. But I like to just keep them skipjack packed in ice without being in ice, if that makes sense. You just don't, they get, and I normally use my bait pretty quickly. I catch these skipjack today, I'm gonna use them tomorrow and the next day. I usually, I don't like going beyond more than about 3 days. You can. I've used skipjack, it's been on ice for 4 or 5 days and caught fish on them. But it seems like every day they're on ice, you lose the freshness, obviously, and they're just not as good. It's better to kind of keep them as fresh, and they're so plentiful this time of year in the spring. I'm down here today. I've got another area. I've been getting them closer to home that's, I honestly just don't want to burn by putting it on video, because everybody will be out there shoulder to shoulder getting them down here below the dams. This ain't no secret. I mean, catching skipjack below the dams, that's where everybody goes, no big deal. But they're so plentiful and easy to catch right now, there's really no point in using bait that's more than a couple days old, unless you're just loading up for a trip and going somewhere or something like that. So I like to try to use them within a couple days and then reload, and then, like I said, you can freeze them. It's best to, you're going to keep them fresher and in better condition if you will freeze them immediately. So if I was going to freeze these, for instance, when I get home today, it would be put them right in the freezer. Some people will vacuum seal them. I always just used to wrap them in aluminum foil and stick them in there. And I caught a bunch of fish doing that, just wrapping skipjack in aluminum foil. They will keep longer If you will put them in a vacuum sealed bag, you'll keep from getting like freezer burn and stuff. But if you're going to use them within a few months, aluminum foil work just fine. So, okay, there's just a heron right over there. Let's just let's bust out the ultralight here. We may have to put another gulp on that thing. What I had done, I got out here and I went ahead and I got my camera out, you know, trying to be all prepared and ready. And I went ahead and put a gulp on my ultralight because I was just going to troll up through here till I started seeing birds or got up here on this riprap, and then we were going to start ultralight fishing. And so that gulp's been back there for however long we've been filming now, 45 minutes. It's probably dried out by now. We may have to put another one on. We may have to. The thing's probably dried out. I'll probably, even if it ain't dried out, I'll probably stick another one on there just to get us some fresh gulp juice on at this point. Yeah, I guess it's damp enough out here right now with the fog and all that it didn't dry out on us, but we'll still put another one on. It's good and juicy. Here I was thinking I was being all efficient and everything before I got the camera turned on and got the video going. And them skipjack said, Justin, we're going to be biting so good, we ain't going to let you get up here and do no ultralight fishing. We may end up I'm having a good time catching the skipjack. Like I said, when they ain't biting good, fishing for them ain't always fun, but when you get on them, they're fun to catch. So if this don't pan out here, if we ain't getting a lot of fish or the fish we want, we may just go back to making some more casts for the skipjack. I'm flexible today, y'all. I want to just catch fish. We had to get bait today. Had to. That was a must for us to be able to go catfishing tomorrow. You see them up there, maybe some more skipjack right there. We'll throw this ultralight over. Boy, if we get one on the ultralight, man, fish that pull like skipjack on the ultralight, it's gonna rip some drag. It's gonna be fun. But we've accomplished what we've had to do. So now let's play. We got our work done, now it's playtime. It's like when you're a kid, you know, you get home from school, you gotta do your homework. Then you can go outside and play in the woods and build forts and play with your G.I. Joes and stuff. These kids today, man, any kid that's watching this video right now, they don't have a clue what I'm talking about because none of them go outside. I guarantee you most of these kids, if there's a kid still watching this video, they ain't never built a fort out in the woods. And even if they wanted a G.I. Joe, they couldn't afford one today because hell, them damn things. The last time I saw some G.I. Joes in a toy department, sometimes if I go to Walmart, and I try to never go to Walmart anymore, unless I need bird seed or carp bait, I don't go to Walmart. I get my groceries at Aldi now. Aldi and Ingles, I try to avoid Walmart. But occasionally, if I do go to Walmart, I'll go through the toy department. Because it seems like even though kids today don't play with toys, toy companies still make toys that are like replicas or remakes of stuff that was available when I was a kid. Like, for instance, Netflix had come out with a new He-Man cartoon. And it's been, I guess, a year or two ago now they come out with that. But when they did, the toy companies remade the Masters of the Universe toys, He-Man, Skeletor, and all those. And so you go to Walmart and you see them dang things. But back when I was a kid, Lord, a He-Man cost you $5. A Thundercat was $5. Used to, if I got a $5 allowance, I could get me 2 G.I. Joes and a Hot Wheels car, because a G.I. Joe cost you $1.99 and a Hot Wheels car was under $1. $5 to get you 2 G.I. Joes and a Hot Wheels car. And man, them Masters of the Universe, the He-Mans they had there in the toy departments there, when the Netflix show come out, holy cow, $20 a piece. The last time they had redone some G.I. Joes, $20 a piece. A dang wrestling figure right now, $20 a piece. I'm like, how do kids afford these things? Well, I mean, I don't have kids, so I'm out of the loop on this stuff. Maybe y'all out there that got kids, your parents and whatnot, you can educate me here on this. What's the going rate for an allowance now? You know, like if your kid does his chores, taking out the trash and washing dishes and stuff, mowing the yard, what's they get for an allowance? Because, I mean, good golly, if a kid wanted to have a G.I. Joe, how could you? And I had a bunch when I was a kid, man. I still got them. They've fallen apart now. The rubber O-rings that hold them together, because they're so old, they're about as old as I am. You know, they're falling apart too. I need to get in there, and I'd watched a video on how to do it, how to replace them O-rings. The G.I. Joe is pretty simple to put together. It's one screw. You pop the body off and put a new O-ring around the hook inside the body, and it holds the legs and the chest cavity there together. So pretty simple to do, but that may be a wintertime project to get me some of them O-rings and put together my old G.I. Joes again. But man, I had a bunch of them when I was a kid. Like that was my prime, G.I. Joes and Ninja Turtles was my primary toys. And I had a bunch of wrestling figures too. But I can't imagine, if G.I. Joes had been $20 a piece when I was a kid, and I know inflation and all, it's skewed the numbers, but let's just say when I was a kid, they were, instead of $1.99, maybe a G.I. Joe was $5 or $10. I probably wouldn't have played with G.I. Joes. You know, I'd have had some knockoff Army figures or something, you know. I wouldn't have had the real thing. But these kids today, they don't know what they're missing out on. I guarantee you, if they get an allowance, they're putting their parents in the hole, because if G.I. Joes are $20, and them video games they're expensive too. I don't know how a parent could afford, I mean, heck with feeding them and clothing them, I don't know how a parent could afford to give them an allowance these days. I guarantee you though, these kids that's watching this video, ain't none of them ever put together built them a fort. None of them have. I grew up, had a bunch of woods and stuff, creeks, and get out there in the creeks and play with the G.I. Joe, build forts for the G.I. Joes, you know, get out there in the creeks and play with them. And I'd build forts and hideouts and stuff for myself. It was fun. Nostalgic, you know, even thinking about it. Good old days. Kids today, they don't leave the house, I don't reckon. They just stay inside. They got their video game headsets on, and that's the new world, man. I guess if you took them, if you gave a kid today a pile of G.I. Joes or Ninja Turtles and told them, spend an afternoon playing with these things, I don't know if they'd know how. Because I don't know that their imaginations have ever been developed enough to be able to to have battles and stuff and whatnot. Oh, oh, I had a hit finally, y'all. We've been throwing this ultralight. Normally, normally, you throw the ultralight, you get bit very quickly and very frequently, and not so far today. Which I really wanted to get down here closer to the lock too, where I was kind of wanting to fish at, but I saw that bird over here, and I thought, well, we'll start here and make our way down. We may actually get down here if nobody's sitting on this point coming out. We may get over there and cut across and go make some cast over there. But you know, imagination's one of them things that's got to be developed, and I think maybe it's kind of like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. Because the last time I had pulled out by G.I. Joe's, I got a box of them at my house, and then somewhere down there at my parents' house in one of the closets is the rest of them. Again, I had a bunch of G.I. Joes, y'all. That was my primary toy. But, you know, you pull them things out, and the first thing I noticed is like, man, my hands have gotten so big, or the toys have shrunk one, because them G.I. Joes, they're like, I don't know, 2 inches tall, 3 inches tall. They're small figures. But I don't remember them being that small when I was a kid playing with them. So I guess as I've gotten older, my hands have just gotten so much bigger. But you pull them out and you look at them, you hold them and stuff, and it's hard to remember. I mean, I remember obviously playing with them and what I did with them and stuff, building the forts and the battles and all that. But there's one. Oh, and I lost him. Dadgummit, we finally had a solid hookup right there on the Gulp. I butchered it. Maybe I need to let this thing sink down a little deeper. We're up here now. I've got a graph inside the hatch here. I don't have it turned on though, but you can see how steep this is right here. It comes straight down. We may need to let these things drop down a little deeper. But I'm sitting there holding them dang G.I. Joes, looking at them and stuff, and like, I can't remember how to play with them. I remember what I did with them as a kid, how I played with them. But like, if you ask me today here we go. What is this? I feel some head shakes right here. Could this be we got us a bass on here? Oh, big smallmouth. Big smallmouth right here, y'all. Big smallmouth. I knew I felt head shakes. And I thought today we might get some here on this riprap. Oh, buddy, that's a big smallie. Big small. I'm gonna back off that drag just a smidge. This is 2-pound line and a number 8 size hook, just a thin wire hook. We don't want to put the pressure to this fish. We will pop that line or we will bend that hook. Let's just take our time. We're gonna tire him down. He's gonna jump here. Nope, he turned. We're gonna tire him down and we're gonna get the net under him. This is a good one, man. This is a nice smallie. Holy cow. From skipjack to smallmouth, y'all. He's tiring down, but he ain't ready yet. You got to take your time when you ultralight fishing, y'all. I can't stress that enough. Like, you have to. You got to be patient. If you don't, you try to horse them with a light line, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to snap it. You're going to bend a hook. Got to be patient. This is true sport fishing right here when you're using this, man, because the fish have every opportunity to win the battle against your gear. This is fun though, man. This is, I love me some ultralight fishing, and when you hook into a fish like this on the ultralight, holy cow. This right here would make anybody an ultralight fisherman, folks. Anybody. I knew though when he hit it and the head shake started, I'm like, I think that's a bass of some kind. And then I saw him come flying up. I was like, oh man, that's a big smallie. He's staying down now though. It's better for us that he does too, honestly. The more he comes up jumping, the more likely he is to spit that hook. Oh, he's got another one with him. Did you see that? There's another one there. There was another one there with him. That happened the other day. When I was catfishing, I pulled up a fish and I had another big blue cat come up with it. But I saw another smallmouth every bit as big as this one right there with it. Oh man, we're gonna make some more casts here. I had let that jig sink down a little further because we're on this riprap and it comes straight off here. All right, let's see if we can't get this thing up here a little closer. We're gonna get a net under him. It's a beautiful smallmouth too. Oh, get away from the kayak, buddy. We don't want any friction on that line. No friction right now. Oh, I missed him. Crap, I missed him. He's in there. Holy cow. Holy cow, look at that smallmouth. Look at that smallmouth bass, y'all. Right there's where we got him, man. He wasn't going nowhere on that hook. Look, we got him right in the tooth patch. Look at that. Oh, y'all, man. Here's what let's do. Let's back up here because we know he had a friend with him. We're on some smallmouth. We're on some right here. I'm going to pull out my board. I remember to bring the board. My board's only 20 inches, though. It's broke, so we'll see where he's at on that. He's going to be close to exceeding my board. He is just shy 18 3/4. Buddy, and he's fat too. 18 3/4 inch smallmouth on our ultralight, man. Yes, buddy, that's fist pump worthy. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let's put a camera mount up for a second. I wanna get a picture of this thing. That's a nice smallmouth. Nice smallmouth bass. Y'all take a picture of me, would you? Be my photographer out here. Hold the camera. There you go. It was crooked. Look at this. That's awesome, man. Oh, man. Y'all, that's awesome, man. Nice smallmouth. I mean, that's a dang football. On the ultralight. Oh, man. All right, man, we've tired him out here, so let's get a release shot and we're gonna make some casts and see if we can't get some of his friends. Look at the colors on him, though. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful smallmouth. Come here, buddy. Let's get you by the tail. We exhausted him there. We on the ultralight. Let him catch his breath here and he'll take off here in a second. There he goes. Gotta kind of take your time, revive them a little bit, kind of like when you hook a striped bass. They just fight so hard for so long. They just have some lactic acid build up and kind of got to revive them a little bit. But he went back down. Holy cow, y'all, that was awesome. Well, let's do this. Let's check our gulp here, make sure it's still good. Make sure our hook didn't bend at all. I'm gonna flip that gulp. Let's just switch it out. It was kind of torn right there. I don't mind only getting one fish on a gulp when it's a fish like that. That's a big smallie, y'all. Man, that tickled me fancy. I'm not a bass fisherman, you know, like to just go out and target bass. I'll occasionally fish a local tournament, but I'm not big into just specifically targeting bass. But when I go out ultralight fishing, and I'm fishing places that, here, we gotta do this too. We gotta get rid of that camera mount so we can cast. When I'm fishing places that have a lot of rocks, like bluff walls, or like situations here today where we're fishing on this riprap, I tend to catch some smallmouth bass. There was a bass tournament, I guess it's been 2 or 3 years ago, I reckon now. I've got the video on my channel from it. But I cashed in the dang tournament using an ultralight rod, catching smallmouth bass. I was using the bigger gulp. Now usually, if I'm using this technique in a tournament situation, usually what I will do is use a bigger gulp. The 1 inch catches literally everything, but if I'm targeting bass in a tournament, I don't want to spend time reeling in bluegill and smaller fish, you know. Here's another one. Oh, I missed another one. I don't know what that was. I missed a fish right there. But I don't want to spend time in a tournament reeling in 50 bluegill over the course of the day, right? That's just not an efficient use of my time. So I use a bigger gulp. I go to the 3 inch size and a little bit bigger hook, number 2 size hook usually. And the bluegill will still hit that bait, but their mouths are too small to be able to actually hook up on it. So it allows that bigger gulp to sink farther and stay down there so that you can have a chance at getting the bass, right? And so usually I'll do that. I'll use the bigger gulp and a bigger hook, and I'll go to 4-pound line instead of using the 2-pound like we're doing today. But there was a tournament there 2 or 3 years ago now. I placed, I think I got 4th place and cashed. Beating all them fellas using their power fishing techniques, but I was just working rock walls, letting that thing fall, and the smallmouth, they would see that gulp falling down looking like a dying minnow or dying shad, and they would come up and get it. I think the way the current's going this way, but because we're up here where we're at, we're moving this way now, the opposite direction of where the current's going, just the way we're positioned here. So I think what I want to do, because there was another smallmouth or schooling fish, and there was another one. I don't know if you all saw it on camera with the lighting and just the position of the camera, but there was another one that came up that was every bit as big as the one that we caught. And I want to try to get back down here. I should have looked at the surroundings. I was so focused on the dang fish, I didn't look for a mark on the shoreline to kind of see exactly where I had hooked that fish at. Normally I'm better about that, picking out a landmark on the shoreline so I can make another cast there, but I was so excited over that fish, I didn't do that, and so I don't know exactly how far we drifted down during that fight. So we'll just come back down here just a little bit, we'll just kind of see if we can get another one of them smallmouth or two. I could have kept that daggone thing for bait too. There would have been some bass fishermen's heads explode had I done it, but he was over 18 inches, so he would have been a legal bait if I wanted to keep him. Sport fish are legal here in Tennessee. for bait, so long as you catch them on rod and reel and they meet the minimum size requirements. And I'm pretty sure it's 18 inches for smallmouth. I don't know Chickamauga, because this would fall under Chickamauga's regulations. I don't know, I don't ever bass fish down here, so I don't know for sure, but I think back home it's like, I think above the dam here, I think it's either 14 or 15 inches for largemouth and then 18 for smallmouth, I think. Fort Loudon and Watts Bar used to be 1 inch off on the largemouth. One of them was 14 inches and one of them was 15 inches. And I can't remember. Look at all these birds down here. Yeah, there's a bunch in the water, but look down there on the shoreline. All them herons have showed up down there. All them herons down there, man, that may be where the bait is at right now. Which would make sense, I guess, because the skipjack were real thick down there. But I want to make some more casts right in here just because of the dang smallmouth. I had let that jig, I know I'd let that jig sink down a little further when the smallmouth hit. And smallmouth, I usually, with this technique, I usually catch them on the fall. Like I'll catch more largemouth when I'm actively reeling in the gulp, but I get more smallmouth when it's falling down through the water column. I don't know why that is, but that's just something I've picked up on through the years of how I get bit. You know what's going to end up happening is I got excited over a smallmouth and we'll spend way too much time fishing this area and not getting bit. That's what'll end up happening. Got a boat over here behind us coming up. Hopefully they move along. They may have seen me hook that smallmouth. Either way, y'all, that was a fun catch. It's my biggest smallmouth of the year on the Ultralight. In fact, that may be, I'm trying to think, that may be my first smallmouth of the year on the Ultralight. I normally catch a bunch throughout the year. That osprey down there, he just got him a fish. He's probably too far away from the camera. He got him something. And there goes a heron too. Yeah, we're just gonna work. We're gonna work this direction down here toward the lock wall. I'm having fun today, y'all. Man, we've accomplished a lot already. We've already got our bait. We've got us a nice smallmouth. I hope the picture turns out okay. It's so foggy right now. The lighting's terrible. I'm using this DJI camera today so I can use the fancy pants microphone. And it don't have as good a video quality, don't get me wrong, it's good. But it doesn't, getting screenshots from the video doesn't make for as good a quality pictures as what you can get with GoPro. So that'd be all right though. Ain't the end of the world. But you better believe some of my bass fishing friends back home, every time these fellas catch a catfish by accident, you know, they'll be out there throwing a crankbait or something and hook a flathead, or, you know, bass lure, they'll catch a catfish every time. It don't matter if that fish is 3 pounds or 20 pounds, they're gonna send me a picture of it and say, Justin, we caught one of your fish. And so by gosh, today, when I get home, I'm gonna send that picture of that smallmouth and be like, I've caught your all's bass fish here, your old brown fish, your footballs, small jaw. These riprap, there was something splashing right there. These riprap areas, though, they're just good places to fish in general. There's usually, I mean, I know I'm making myself sound like a liar right here, right now, because we've only got one fish on the Gulp since we started throwing it. And normally, those of you that watch my other ultralight videos where I'm throwing the Gulp, I'm getting a lot more action by now. And I honestly expected to be getting more action by now with this thing, but riprap is just a good place to catch fish. I don't know what's up today as far as us not getting no more bites than we have, but we really haven't covered a very big stretch of this yet either. So we'll see. By the time we get down here, maybe closer to the lock, we'll see what we've hooked into. And this boat's idling. I don't know if they're trolling or what over here, but if they don't end up fishing this point, we may cut across, fish that point, and then work our way up to the lock. Man, that was fun, y'all. I'm still focused on it. And somebody out there be like, well, Justin, if you like, if catching a bass is that much fun, why don't you do it more often? Well, it's honestly, it's the process. I like catching bass. I don't like bass fishing. Casting big lures all the time, and it's just not as much fun to me. If I'm gonna cast like we're doing here now, I wanna be getting bit more frequently. You know, granted, I know here at this moment we're not getting a ton of action, but normally I've thrown this Gulp so much through the years. I just have a ton of confidence that most days I'm gonna catch a bunch of fish using it. Especially you get a day with like today where it's in a warm weather month and a day with no wind. Like usually I'm gonna tear them up on the Gulp. Whereas you're throwing bass lures, yeah, you might get a few fish over the course of a day, but it's not going to be like lights out action usually, unless you're on a school of small fish. So I'm just not as into bass fishing as much. I like catching bass. I'm not into bass fishing as much, but when I catch one, especially one like that, a bigger one on the ultralight, shoot, that's fun. Catching any fish that size on the ultralight is fun, but smallmouth usually will come flying up out of the air. That one gave us one good jump. He mostly stayed down though, which honestly was to our benefit. If he had come up flying out of the air a few more times, he may have shook that hook out. Of course, I don't know. The way we had him, that barb had penetrated into the tooth patch, so that's a good place to hook them. We would have probably bent the hook more so than him spitting the hook in that situation, which that can happen on them thinner wire hooks. That's why you gotta come off your drag. We may need to tighten our drag up a little bit now. It's just a practice thing. You throw this setup enough, you're going to catch a bunch of fish doing it. And when you first start, you're probably going to break off some fish just from having your drag too tight or just being kind of inexperienced and fighting and landing fish on the lighter tackle and maybe getting too excited. That's going to happen. But over the course of time, you put the practice in, you'll get pretty proficient at landing bigger fish on this setup. And I've landed some really nice fish I've gotten big, I think probably the biggest fish on this setup was actually a blue cat. And I've got the video on my channel. Now, I guess technically I didn't land it, right? I got him up to the side of the kayak. I was like, what am I going to do with a catfish this big, you know, trying to get hold of this thing with the light line. And I grabbed my line, which you can't do, and that fish moved and boom, snap. But I had him all the way up to the side of the kayak, like actively reaching for him. So, in the salt water, that would have been considered a catch because I would have gotten hold of my leader, basically. They consider that in salt water if a person touches their leader, whether they lose the fish or have to cut it off or whatever, it's considered a catch. So technically, either way, however you want to word it, that blue cat was the biggest fish that I had ever gotten up to my kayak with the ultralight. And it was a solid fish. I was live scoping that day. I got the video on my channel. But I had been live scoping that day, and I threw at a fish with I had the ultralight and I had a crappie magnet like we're throwing for the skipjack. And I threw that out there because I had thought I was throwing at a crappie. And that's how bad I am at live scope, y'all. I couldn't tell the difference between a crappie and about a 25, 30 pound blue cat, but nevertheless, I threw at it and it ate it. And then that fish turned on the screen and I was like, oh, that's not a crappie. He took off and it was a battle. It took a while to get him, but thankfully he had ran more out toward open water. And so then it just become a matter of wearing him down and just fingers crossed that the friction of the tooth patch in their mouth, because it's like sandpaper on a catfish. Thankfully, the friction of that did not run my line. What we got here? This may be another bass right here. This may be another one. I feel the head shakes. Oh, buddy, that's not a smallie. That's either a largemouth or a spot. That's another bass. That's another nice one, whatever he is. He's green. Let's back off our drag a little more and kind of ease out. Y'all remember, right of that tree, that white rock there, right there's where we hooked him at. Let's see what this is. I don't know if it's a largemouth or a spot. He's green. Oh, crap, he just spit it too. Oh, crapola. Didn't bend our hook, he just come unbuttoned. Well, doo-doo flakes. I don't know what went wrong with that one. Unless we had him more in the flesh, he just pulled free. I should have backed off my drag a little more. Well, duty fruit, y'all. I'd at least like to get my hands on him to see if it was a largemouth or a spot. Ain't that something though, man? That was another one. I went to pick up on it and he was on. I didn't feel him inhale the bait. That was a really light bite. Make some more casting. Man, I tell you, man, since we switched over to this Gulp, we're not getting the quantity of fish, but boy, the two that we've hooked now, that's something. Hang on a minute, my phone's buzzing under me. Let me make sure it's not it's a spam risk. To keep my phone on, you know, just never know when it's going to be a medical emergency. Somebody trying to get in touch with you because something went wrong with a family member, you know, but dang spam risk out here trying to call. Well, we're over here catching fish, buddy. But, you know, we're not getting eat up. Like, we haven't gotten a single bluegill, not a single yellow bass. And it ain't just that we're not catching. I'm not getting tapped. Like, they don't seem to be any smaller bluegill or yellow bass over here. And I'm honestly surprised we haven't hooked a white bass yet, because I got several of them on my bait run. And I know Ryan Bortz had come out here and loaded up on bait before I had fished with him the other day, and he got some white bass too. I'm surprised we haven't hooked any of them, but boy, the two fish that we've hooked, great quality. At least I kept my eyes peeled to where we had hooked him at. That's something though, folks. That's something. Two quality bass. Get 3 fish like we've hooked on your bass fishing tournament score out here, and you're in contention. You're in contention of cashing a check. I think Pro Moderator, some of y'all know him from my old live stream videos. He's too busy to be fishing with me these days, you know, because he's got him a woman, and of course we're right here in the middle of bass fishing season and all, so he ain't got no time for me anymore. But he won a tournament the other day they went to Del Hollow, and it's more toward Middle Tennessee. And he went out there and won a tournament. I think he had 3 fish that went, I think it's 58 or 59 inches. He almost had a 20-inch average on his 3 fish. I think it was 3 fish. It might have been 5 fish. No, that can't be right. It had to be 3 fish, because 12-inch, 5 times 12, 60. There's your math lesson for the day, kids. So it had to be a 3-fish limit. But yeah, he won that out there. But I mean, you get 3 fish that's in that 18 to 20-inch class, you're in good shape. And the fact that we're hooking them here on a bait that's literally an inch long just goes to show you don't necessarily have to use a big power fishing bass lure to hook these fish. They will eat a finesse presentation if you can just get it in their face. Getting it in their face, though, that's the thing. I bet you there's going to be somebody in my comment box be like, well, Justin, if you was in your other kayak with the live scope, you'd know exactly where they're at. And you're right. If we were out here and had the live scope and saw a big school of smallmouth sitting on there, we'd know exactly where to cast. But does it take away from my fun? Maybe if I don't get as many fish today, or don't know exactly where to cast, does that take away from my enjoyment of this trip? Not one bit. Because I'm having a good time regardless, man. I'm going to have a good day today no matter what. We got loaded up on bait, so I'm going to have a chance at catching some big cats the next day or two, and got us a big smallmouth. We hooked what looked like a comparable size, either largemouth or spot. And I have to believe at some point down through here, we're going to run into some other fish. Whether it's bluegill, white bass, yellow bass. I'd like to get on some yellow bass. Or, a small drum, 8 to 10-inch drum, holy cow. If you think I got excited over that smallmouth, let me hook an 8 to 10-inch drum. One of them just perfect size baits, man. I'd be percolating, buddy. I still ain't putting no water in this bait bucket. I ain't going to till we catch something to put in it. Because you ain't gonna be able to probably see that far over there. Look over there, all them damn fishing guides, all sitting on top of each other over there, right below them turbines. I swear they can't. You know me, I like a little distance when I'm fishing. You know, I don't like people being on top of me, and I don't like being on top of people. I couldn't imagine being. I assume they're striper fishing over there. I couldn't imagine having to. It'd take away from the enjoyment of me fishing for whatever I was trying to catch if I had to fish in places where you had to just be 5 foot from the next boat. I'd just assume not go fishing if that's how I had to be. That's just me, though. I'm antisocial, folks. And it's getting worse, too. The older I get, the less social I am. I can sit out here and talk to y'all on this video all day long. But if I was having to have in-person, human-to-human conversation all day long, holy cow, I would be just exhausted. Like I'm too introverted, man. It bleeds the life out of me. That's another one of those things. It's like your imagination. I don't know if I ever finished up that point or not, but like how I can't use my imagination anymore, trying to pull out my old G.I. Joe toys. Like how, if I tried to play with them now, like I can't do it like I used to as a kid. Like my imagination don't work like that anymore. And it's the same thing, I think. It's like a muscle. You don't use it, you lose it. And the same thing happens with people skills. You know, when I was working my regular job, before all this YouTube crap took off for me, but I think I was just conditioned to interact with people, and I'd be exhausted at the end of the day, mentally exhausted. I mean, physically exhausted too, just pulling 12-hour shifts on my feet, but just mentally exhausted at the end of the day from just the human interaction of both, not only just patients and their families, but coworkers too, just having to have human interaction all day. I'd be exhausted. I'm hung right here. Don't get excited over that one, y'all. I'm hung. But nowadays, because I haven't done that in a while, you know, it's been a few years that I've been doing this YouTube crap full time. Nowadays, just the least little bit of human interaction just wears me out. Especially if it's, you know, if it's positive interaction, it's a little better. Like if we're talking fishing or something, like if I'm at a fishing show or, you know, when Catfish Sumo had their open house here recently before our tournament check-in, or during our tournament check-in, we got our jig back, thankfully. Let me just check that, make sure it's not abraded at all with the size of the fish we're catching. It feels pretty good. But you know, that was only 2 hours long, and it was positive interaction with like-minded people. And so, like, that's a little bit more, that doesn't wear me down like just random conversation or forced conversation. Like, I wear down real quick with forced chit-chat conversation. Like, I know this is kind of chit-chat, but y'all are watching through a TV screen, not just right next to me, you know. It's hard to explain, but it just exhausts me. Like, I mean, I will be mentally exhausted from doing it. And I think it's just because I haven't done it much, you know. I used to be conditioned to it. And now I've lost it. I've lost that skill. As we get our jig tangled up in our rod here, or through our line guide, I think I made it worse. Y'all told me to run that through the opposite way. It was the wrong way. There we go. I shouldn't have asked you if you were going to tell me the wrong way. That's your fault. It's your fault that happened just then. I know it was. I try to keep my human interactions to a minimum. I talk to my mom every day because, well, I'm a mama's boy and she needs to hear my voice every day, so she calls me every day. So I talk to her. And she doesn't exhaust me like a normal conversation would, so that's okay. And then, you know, obviously I talk to my girlfriend every day. And again, she doesn't exhaust me like average people do. But that's about it for my human interaction. Like I've got other friends and stuff. There'll be some text messages. I don't text I respond. I'm a terrible friend. I never initiate a conversation. You know, I'm the worst friend possible. Like I don't initiate, unless it's something like, we got something happening right there. Did you see that? Let's rip that across the surface there. I don't know if that's skipjack or white bass or what, but there was something coming up busting right there. Whatever it is seems to be gone now, but yeah, y'all, I'm an awful friend. I don't, unless you've had some, if somebody makes a post that something's happened, maybe they've had a death in the family or something that the socially appropriate thing to do is to reach out and check on them, make sure they're okay. I'll do that, obviously. Or if it's a birthday, I'll tell them happy birthday. But just reaching out for normal chit chat, how you doing? Catching any fish lately? That type, I don't do that. I'm the worst friend. I respond when they reach out to me, but I don't initiate. So here's our situation right now, y'all. We've got a guy down here bank fishing on the sidewalk, and I don't like talking around people. And I also don't want to encroach on him too much as we get down here because we've got access to this whole area right here. Ain't no point in us being on top of him. Ain't no different than these boats if one of them tried to get on top of us when they can go somewhere, So I think what I'm gonna do, the other boat that's been going up and down, they've just been trolling. I'm gonna cut over here to this point and say I'm gonna make about one more cast over here. Boy, that felt good. I think this might be wood or something. It gave a little. There it comes. I think we found ourselves in some wood right there. I set the hook on it, buddy. It gave enough. I thought it was a fish. Hook sets are free. I take my share. Thankfully, we got that in back. But I'm gonna cut across. We're gonna fish this point. I see some birds sitting there on it. And we'll fish that point, and then we'll go up that way to the lock wall. And hopefully somewhere over here, we're gonna get on some damn fish, y'all. Y'all didn't come out here with me today not to catch nothing. Well, I mean, we got our nice fish. We got our cooler full of skipjack, but we gotta get some numbers of fish too. I come out here wanting to ultralight fish, catch me about 50 of them on this ultralight today. We're behind. But I see two birds right over here. There's a white one and there's a gray heron. There's an osprey right there flying around right now too, so we're gonna cut over here. We'll fish the tip of this point and work our way up to the lock and come around that other way. I should have thrown this Gulp out behind us here, or the skipjack rigs out behind us as we made our way over, but too late now. We're almost here. I don't know what them white birds are right there. They kind of look like a heron, but they're a different species. We spooked that, and he didn't want to be on this video. He said he don't work for free. Yeah, let's cozy up here. Make us a few casts, make our way around. I'll have to bust out my shades here in a minute too, get my sunglasses on. Even though it's still a smidge foggy, it's a little bright. I don't know if anything will be up here or not, but it looks awfully good. You get some, well, I reeled all the way up my dang rod tip. I didn't even see that thing. I didn't think I was that close to it. Bad shape out here, y'all. If you had some current, we got a little bit of current, but if we had more current, especially if they had like the spill gates open, you'd have a nice little current break right here. But no more than flow than we got out here right now. I don't think it's going to make really a bit of difference as far as. I think that was skipjack over there busting. Yeah, there'll be some of you and say I ought to be just keeping on the skipjack right now since they bite so good, but I really want to get me some fish on this ultralight. And we're liable to hook some skipjack on this ultralight too. Either way, no matter what, y'all, I'm having fun. And that's always the most important thing. You go fishing, you want to have fun. I hope y'all have fun with me on these things, these unedited videos, these raw and uncut footage here. I hope you feel like you're out here in the kayak fishing with me, because that's the goal of them. I mean, that's what I want you to do, is come with me on a real fishing trip. And this is exactly, if the camera wasn't rolling, this is exactly where I'd be and what I'd be doing, because I needed bait and I wanted to use the ultralight. So that's what I'd be doing today, video or not. The only thing that really changes, if I wasn't filming, I wouldn't be talking. I'd be out here in silence. Actually, I wouldn't be in silence. I'd probably have something playing like a Jim Cornette podcast or a Joe Rogan or something, you know. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. This is another example of just where we're at in society, and how society's just gone to crap, how nobody can get along with each other. I've really, if you've picked up on my vibe, I've lost all faith in humanity the longer time has went on. But so Jim Cornette, for those of you that may not know who I don't know how the hell you don't know who Jim Cornette is, but anyway, he was a wrestling manager back in early 80s. Well, he's worked in wrestling far beyond that, but I was first introduced to Jim Cornette through the TV set there as a kid in the early 80s. My great-grandmother was a huge wrestling fan. And so when she would keep me, we watched wrestling all the time. And so she taught me how to be a wrestling fan, and she taught me a lot of cuss words, because she was constantly yelling at that TV set during the wrestling matches. Like she went to her grave thinking wrestling was real. You couldn't tell her it was fake. And Jim Cornette back in the early 80s was a manager. He managed a tag team called Midnight Express, and they used to have a rivalry and do a lot of matches against the Rock and Roll Express, who, as a kid, I was a huge fan of. Oh, something hit me then. I was a huge fan of the Rock and Roll Express, and so was my great-grandmother. So Jim Cornette, he would be out there managing Midnight Express, and he'd get involved in these matches. He used to always carry around a tennis racket because he was portraying a young rich kid. His mama was funding their operation, and he'd cut a promo, and his promos were, y'all should YouTube his promos from back in the day. He was excellent on the microphone. My great-grandmother, man, she'd yell at that TV and tell him where she is going to stick his tennis racket and what she is going to do to him. I mean, she'd be mad, buddy. But anyway, Jim Cornette nowadays has a podcast. And he tells old wrestling stories, and he reviews current wrestling that's on. I don't watch wrestling today. It's unwatchable, if you ask me. Modern day wrestling. There's a few good ones. CM Punk he's a good kind of old school wrestler. MJF, he's very talented, great on a microphone. Beyond that, Cody Rhodes is talented, but I mean, beyond that, it's these guys today, it ain't the same as it was when I was growing up. Just ain't as enjoyable anymore. So I don't watch, but I do like to hear the stories of the old days back when, nostalgic, And so anyway, I listen to Jim Cornette quite a bit. And while I enjoy his wrestling stories, occasionally he's like me. When I'm out here talking on these fishing videos, I talk about fishing for a fair amount of it, and then I go off in the weeds on these random stories of crap that's happened to me in real life here, or whatever I'm dealing with, or somehow or another I get on topics of playing with G.I. Joe. I go off in the weeds. I don't know how we get there, but we get there. And Jim Cornette does the same thing. And occasionally he gets off on some political topic. And my views on how the world should be run and who should be running it is polar opposite of Jim Cornette. But even when he goes off on these topics, which just, it's just opposite of my feelings toward whatever political point or view or whatever he's talking about at that moment, even though I'm total opposite of it, it don't affect me at all. Like, it doesn't take away my enjoyment of his program. It doesn't make me think differently about him. Like, I just listen to it, and I hear his take on it. I don't agree with it, but I just listen, and then, we get back to wrestling, and I listen to those stories, and I enjoy the show. That's how it is. But most people today, and this is where we're at in society, most people today, if they don't agree with his political view or point or whatever, or who he thinks ought to be running the show in this world we live in today, if someone disagrees with that, regardless of whether they like his wrestling stories or not, they hate his guts. He's the bad guy. They won't listen anymore. Or they'll listen just to try to argue with him and try to change his mind over whatever political statement or whatever he made. And I don't understand that, and I'm having that happen now with me, since I'm putting out more of these unedited raw and uncut videos, a lot of people in my comment box, most of the time when it happens, it's the very first comment they've ever left on my channel. But occasionally you'll have one that I've seen pop up before, somebody I've interacted with before. And I'll tell a story where I've got off on the weeds, you know, and give a take or a viewpoint that they don't agree with. And now all of a sudden they flipped a switch. They hate my guts, man. Like they hate me. They're done with me. They've enjoyed my fishing videos for years, allegedly. But now, because I have a different stance on something than what their stance is, they just flip a switch. They can't enjoy my fishing anymore because we have a disagreement over whatever the topic is. And it ain't even like political stuff. Like, I try not to get too far into that mess on this channel. But I mean, like, I've had people go off. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, like, here's a fish. I think we got another bass right here, y'all. This ain't a bluegill, I'll tell you that. To be continued on the story. I'm feeling head shakes. He's going under the kayak. We gotta work. I need to work our way out here, open water, y'all. I don't want him running on these rocks over here, and I don't want him going under the kayak and getting on my pedal drive. Let's back off. We may have backed off our drag a little too much, but I just want to get him out in open water. I don't know what he is. I felt head shakes. He's not come up jumping yet, so I'm inclined to believe it's probably not a bass. Could it be a drum? I don't think it's a white bass, because I think he would have made a harder surge. You know how them white bass fight. And it don't feel like he's rolling. I haven't felt any rolling, so I don't think it's a channel cat. I think this is probably I think it's probably a drum, maybe. I think by now, if it was a bass, I think we would have seen some jumps. No, it is a bass. It is a bass, and it's a big one. He just come up then. Who knew we were going to be out here bass fishing today, y'all? Who knew? I think this is a largemouth. I can't believe it took him that long to jump. I hope we land this one. We've got him out here in open water. I'm not concerned about him breaking me off on the rocks. At this point, I'm just concerned about him spitting the hook or getting over here under the kayak and rubbing the line against the hull or the prop of my pedal drive or something. Okay, let's see if we can get the net over here. Nice fish. Nice fish. Okay, we got him. This ain't as big as a smallmouth, but he's a chunk, man. He is a chunk. You had me fooled, bass. I thought you was a drum. I was telling people lies. Yeah, he wasn't coming free. We got him right there right there behind that bone right there in his upper jaw. Like I'm about to bend my hook trying to get this thing out, actually. I ain't gonna worry about that gulp right there. I'll throw it out the way. Yeah, folks. Another nice bass right here. Another nice one right there. I knew when he hit it, I'm like, that ain't no bluegill, you know what I mean? Like that ain't no bluegill. Let's throw him on the board. We'll put the front camera mount up for him too if I get my words out. Yeah, he is heel touch, barely graze. Maybe not. Just shy of that 17 inch with his mouth closed. Bass tournament purposes right there. He's just barely shy of that 17 inch mark. I ain't going to get a front camera mount up there with you, fish. I'm just going to hold you out just like that. That's a solid fish though, either way, man. Who would have thought we're going to be out here this long, still ain't hooked a bluegill. Get on out of here, bass. There he goes. We still ain't hooked a bluegill, but now we've hooked 3 big bass. Who would have thought it? Every day, man, every day on the water, you never know. You never know what you're going to hook, especially when you're doing this. You know what I mean? Like when you're throwing a gulp, a small, I mean, this thing, again, it's 1 inch long. It looks just like a small threadfin shad. When you're throwing a bait like that literally anything can eat, and everything will eat it, you don't know what you're going to hook into on a particular day. You don't know what kind of fish that you're going to come across, how big they are. Like, you just don't know. And today, we can't buy a bluegill or a yellow bass out here, but we've hooked into 3 nice bass though. Smallmouth, a largemouth, and I don't know what the other one that jumped over there on the other side was, but let's just make our way back down through here. That's exciting, y'all. I mean, when you pick up on that, when you pick up on your ultralight and you got a fish on and you feel it get solid and then you feel the head shake, like, that's, I mean, it's something, man. It's something. Y'all need to get you an ultralight rod. Get you an ultralight rod and some Gulp or any plastic, you know what I'm trying to say. Get you an ultralight set up, because you need to experience this one time in your life. It'll change you. Y'all wake up and be in a mood to go ultralight fishing like I was today is what you'll be. I woke up today, y'all, like I woke up before my alarm, like I want to go ultralight fishing today. That's how bad I wanted to do it. But to finish my story, I'm at a point now with these uncut videos where I guess people are kind of, I think some people, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know, but the goal of these videos is to bring you all along on a real fishing trip. Like out here again today, y'all are seeing exactly what I would be doing if the cameras wasn't rolling, and you're seeing all of it, right? Like you're not seeing the highlights of just me catching the fish. Like, we're out here. It's like you're fishing with me today. You're my fishing buddy today. And if you were physically out here with me, we would be talking about stuff. Random topics, conversation stuff, stuff going on with life, yada, yada, yada. And it just blows my mind that these people come fishing with me on these videos, and then I say something, oftentimes just completely random. Like I'd had one person get upset with me the other day because I'd said something about a kayak brand or something I wanted out of a kayak or whatever. I think it was one of them new canoe people, because I ain't had the best experience with the new canoe in the past. And they were done with me because I don't like new canoe. And it's like, really? Like, especially when it's like, of all the stuff I say, it's like that, really? I was like, is that really the most polarizing thing? But I just don't understand where we're at today in society, where everything has to be so polarizing, like this tribalism. Like, if you don't 100% agree with my views, then I have to just hate you. I can't like anything about you. And I'm just not like that. Like Jim Cornette, I like me some Jim Cornette, the fact that his political views may be different than mine, well, it don't take away from the fact that I have great memories of watching him on the TV set with my great-grandma when I was a kid. You know, I have great memories of that. Him spending 2 or 3 minutes on a rant about some political topic in between the wrestling stories on his podcast, it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of his podcast. I don't care. You know, I don't care. Like, I'm just, you know, I'm there for the wrestling stories, and if I got to sit through 2 or 3 minutes of him off on a tangent, well, so be it. It's his show. I'm not going to tell him how to do his show. I wouldn't want to tell him how to. I like his show the way it is, you know? I don't want him to change. So, you know, and I just, and there's other people like that too that I follow, like Colin Cowherd, for instance. I'm a big Colin Cowherd fan, especially during football season. During football season, I watch his show about every day, at least his opening segment. I listen to his, I usually watch his podcast, actually, because he does one of them podcasts where, like, he's videoing it. And so I'll usually watch it. He'll do that on the weekend with either John Middlecoff or Nick Wright or something, and I'll usually watch that, usually like an hour long on the weekends. And sometimes on the podcast or on his television show, he'll make some kind of political topic, or he doesn't go very in-depth on it usually. But, you know, he'll go far enough into it that you kind of get his stance on it, if you will. And again, I rarely agree with his stance, right? But it doesn't take away from me enjoying his show. Like, I tune into him for his takes on football. I'm a big football fan. I love the NFL, love college football, and so he's very passionate about the NFL and college football, and I like his program and his format, and I just, you know, I enjoy his show. The fact that he may not have the same beliefs as far as how society should be run as me, well, who cares? It doesn't take away from my enjoying his show. So I don't even think about it. I wouldn't even think about not watching him because of that. You know, there's this really gets me right here, folks. This really gets me. So there's a comedian named Bill Maher, right? And he's super left-wing, like, you know, very, very left. I think he's hysterical. Now, again, I don't agree with, you know, him and I were on opposite ends of the spectrum as far as how the world should be run, but I think he's hysterical as far as the comedian aspect of it. And you hear stories of these people, you know, when you take somebody like Bill Maher, comedian, he goes on tour and rolls into these cities. People will buy a ticket to the show, and they know good and well the material he's going to use in the show. He's going to make some jokes about politics. He's going to make some jokes about religion. And listen, I ain't trying to tell people that are super political or super religious that they shouldn't be offended about something somebody says or what they hear. They can feel however the hell they want to feel. That's their right as a human being. You can feel however you want. But if you know good and well that a comedian that's coming to town is going to offend you, why the hell are you buying a ticket? Why are you buying a ticket to the show? Just so you can get up 5 minutes into the show with your table and your family and walk out so you can do like a little protest. But you hear about that all the time. Well, 10 people, Bill Maher come to town and 10 people got up and walked out at the same time. Or Dave Chappelle was at a show and somebody threw a glass of water on him and 5 people walked out. It's like, what the hell is the purpose in that? You know, let me tell you something. These people, the Bill Maher's, the Dave Chappelle's, comedians, musicians, they're there putting on a show. They're not doing it just, I mean, they're enjoying themselves, sure, but they're running a business. They're there to make a living. And if your dumb ass has bought a ticket, they don't care that you got up and walked out 5 minutes into the show in your little protest, because they still got their money for your ticket, for your seat. Whether you're there going to be entertained by the show or not, they got paid. So it's stupid. And I don't understand people like that at all. I don't get it. It's like, again, I ain't telling people, I ain't trying to tell you that you don't have the right to be offended or you shouldn't be offended. Again, you can feel however the hell you want to feel. I don't care. You can feel however you want. But if you know that a comedian is going to say something or make jokes about something that bothers you, don't buy a ticket to the show. If you know that my views on various topics are way different than yours and you're offended by it, stop coming fishing with me on these videos. I'm not twisting anybody's arm, forcing you to come out here. You voluntarily click on the video. And sometimes I get these comments from people. I've said something, told a story, they're offended. They leave me an essay, and then they don't click off the video. They continue watching, and then you get another comment from them. Oh, I got to tighten up here. Oh, I'm snagged. Here, my damn drag was so loose. There it come. I thought I'm sitting there fighting a snag, y'all. I'm fighting a damn snag because my drag was so loose. It pulled, it give a little. I thought I had a fish. But like these people, they get offended by something I say, leave a comment, and then instead of clicking off the video, they keep watching and they get offended again later on in the show, and they leave another comment. And I'm like, why do you subject yourself to it? Like, if you're offended once, let me tell you, I ain't gonna stop there. You know what I mean? When I dig my hole, I keep digging usually. So you better just go ahead and click off the first time. And once I've offended you once, don't come back again, because you're just going to be triggered again. Why do you want to be triggered? Why do you want to spend your life being so angry all the time? You know, I'm like, look, I get angry too. Things piss me off. I have bad days. I get annoyed. But I try my damnedest not to put myself in those situations. It's like putting your hand on a hot stove. You might do it once when you're a young kid, but once you get burnt that first time, you don't go sticking your hand on the hot stove again, do you? You learned your lesson. You quit. That ain't how it works in modern day society. Nowadays, if somebody is watching a TV show or a comedian or a YouTube video and they get offended, they're like, well, hell far, let me go back and watch again tomorrow because I want to be offended again. And I wonder if it's just because they're so desperate for attention. Negative usually gets more attention than positive, almost always. And so I wonder if they're just so starved for attention that they just have to get it however they can, and negative attention gets, because people usually, if you say something nice to somebody, they might say thank you. But if you attack somebody, try to tear them down, you'll usually get a rise out of them. You know, they'll fight back oftentimes. And so you get more engagement from them. You get more interaction from them if you go after them in a negative way. And so I wondered if that's the case, if it's just people that are very just super insecure or lonely and just don't have much going for them in life. It's the only thing I can figure. Ideally, you'd like to feel bad for those people and have some compassion and empathy, but when they piss you off or attack you, it's just hard to feel anything for them. Which then just perpetuates the cycle that they're in. They can't get any attention in life and the human interaction that they apparently are craving because their negative behavior and actions there make people like them and want to be around them even less. I mean, when I've clicked on people, and I do sometimes, you know, if it's a real person, most of the time I get attacked or whatever, it's screen names anonymously, but occasionally you'll have one come through on a Facebook or Instagram and you can kind of click on their profile and get a peek into their life and who they are. And almost always, without fail, it's, well, I know my demographic. It's old white man. They hate me. But it's always a bunch of they'll post on Facebook 27 times a day, political post, their job hates them, everybody's against them. They're divorced, if they got kids, their kids hate them, don't want nothing to do with them. And every post they make, all 27 of them, they might have one person like it, two people like it. Like they're not getting any engagement. It's a bad cycle, man. And you get somebody that's 50 plus years old, let's say, and I ain't trying to be an ageist here, but it's just true. The older you get, the more, and I'm like this, I'm 42 now, so I can speak from experience on this. The older you get, the more kind of set in your ways you get, typically. I'm like that, man. I know what works for me and what don't for me, what I like, what I don't like, and what makes me happy, what pisses me off, and it's hard to change that at my age, and I think it gets harder the older we get. And so you get somebody that's just super negative and down on life and all that. Like, how do you fix that? I don't know that you do. I don't know that a shrink, they probably should see a shrink, but I don't know that even that would fix them. We got some cops up here. Oh, they're talking up there. I thought they might have been watching me not catch fish. Can you believe we've not caught hardly anything with the ultralight? Numbers-wise anyway, and we've got good quality on the 2 bass that we've landed. And the third one there was, it looked to be comparable size to the other 2 that we did land, but there's not been anything else up through here that's been willing to eat this thing. I have to believe, surely as many casts as we made, we've come across something. I can't believe we haven't, especially the white bass. Like, have we really not come across any white bass all the way up through here? I don't know. You just got to take what the river gives you, you know. Every day's different. Sometimes I go out doing this and I catch 50 bluegill. Today, no bluegill, but we're getting some quality bass. Either way, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I'd be more satisfied if I was getting more bites, but I'm having fun with what I'm doing. Got to enjoy the process, people. If you enjoy what you're doing and how you fishing, then the fish you catch is just a bonus. If you like one of these trophy hunter fishermen, and you go out and you don't care about necessarily how you're fishing or enjoying necessarily the process, the technique you're doing, but you're just all about the result. Well, if you don't get the result, you've had a bad day. And so I'm thankful I'm more into the process than I am strictly the result. I mean, I enjoy the results. Who doesn't want to enjoy the fruits of the labor, you know? But I like the process too. These bass. We saw the other, well, I saw for sure, I don't know if y'all did or not, that other smallmouth come up. But they may just kind of be sporadically down this riprap for the most part. I mean, smallmouth obviously tend to school more. Smaller largemouth tend to school together. I don't really know at what size the largemouth kind of tend to separate a little more. They may school in the larger sizes a little bit more too. You know, Buck Perry, I followed Buck Perry's teachings. That's how I kind of got to the point where I catfish how I do, through the Buck Perry teachings. And he was a bass fisherman, and he would reference getting on the big schools of big bass. So he was typically get on them schools deeper water, not so much up here schooling in the shallows per se. He would fish the shallows, but work his way out to the deeper depths. That's one of the things, I guess, the big differences in the Buck Perry teachings, that I kind of do the opposite of his teachings. Buck would start out in the shallows first, looking for the most active fish, and work his way out deeper. I typically, catfishing, I start out deeper, and I rarely work shallow at all. You know, I rarely move up shallow. But here's the difference. With catfish, if I was going to work the shallows, it would require time. I would either have to cast baits out into the shallows and wait and give it some time before working out deeper, or troll, drag the shallows. And if you're trolling, if you're dragging, obviously you're going a little bit slower speeds. When Buck was trolling for bass, he created the spoon plug lure. Some of y'all you may not know the Buck Perry name, but you may have heard of spoon plugging back in the day, or you may have owned some spoon plugs. I don't know if they make them anymore. I used to have some, but they're basically, his spoon plugs was a lure he made that was basically a combination of a crankbait and a spoon. Hence the name spoon plug. They used to call, and bass fishermen back in the day used to call crankbaits plugs. So he has spoon plug. And it's a metal lure. It looks like a spoon, but it's got the design of it there, it dives down, and you can keep it down at a depth, so when he's trolling. But he would troll with his outboard, because this is back in the day, you know. I don't know if there even was trolling motors back then. He would troll with his outboard, and he would troll at fast speeds, and way faster than what you could troll for catfish. But his thought was, if they're up super shallow, they're going to be super aggressive. And so he could catch those fish at the faster speeds. Whereas me, catfishing, if I try trolling some shallows, you know, I'm going to go half a mile an hour to 1 mile an hour compared to his 4 or 5 miles an hour quicker that he was going. So that's the big difference, I guess, in in the teachings, he would talk about finding the contact point on a structure. And the contact point would be, what he referenced as the contact point would be the first place on a particular structure that when fish moved out of the deep water to move up to feed, it would be the first place they would make contact with. And so I look for places like that. Like I try to find those type of places when I set up, so that when inactive fish turn on, they go to feed, what's the first place they're going to come to on a ledge or on a point or a hump or whatever I'm fishing, you know. And I'll put my time into that spot because fish spend most of their day in an inactive state. They don't feed 24/7. They usually feed, according to Buck, they would feed 1 to 2 times per day. They would get active, move up, depending on the water level, or the water conditions, weather conditions, that would determine how shallow they go and how long they stay there. But some days fish won't move up all the way. They might move up to that contact point of the particular structure. Really active day, they might move up to there and then keep going up to the next break line. Super active days, they might go all the way up to the shoreline, super shallow. Every day was different. And so you read his books on his spoon plugging technique, he would always talk about checking the shallows, working the break lines. And back then they didn't have no navionics. They had some paper contour maps at some bodies of water, not all, but he would make his own. He would draw his own maps, use his spoon plugs, and troll. He could fill that plug on bottom and he knew how deep it was running. And so he would draw his own maps and be able to figure out where the break lines were, where the drops were, you know, and he would know how those fish were, where they were going to be based on those contours, those break lines. Fish follow those break lines. So very educational, I recommend it if you're the type of person who will be able to get through it. His books, and I think I've read just about everything I can get my hands on that Buck Perry wrote, I've read it. Any interview he did, there was a couple video interviews I found of him where he was later on in life. Now, granted, these books were written, I think, 60s, 70s. I mean, it was a long time ago. And so this was way back before the days of YouTube and all that. Back then, he used to advertise his spoon plugging courses in magazines and newspapers and stuff, and do on-the-water demonstrations and lessons and whatnot. But there was a couple video interviews that he had done later on in life before he died. And fascinating guy, but his books, they're kind of a hard read. Like, they're very educational. Like, if you will read those books and just soak in the knowledge, like, you're going to learn a lot about fish behavior. And again, they're bass fishing books, because Buck was a bass fisherman. But fish is a fish is a fish. They all use the same structure. They might use it in different ways, but they use the same structure. So you can learn a lot. But they're a tough read. They read like a damn textbook. And it's tough to get through. It's not a book like you're just going to pick it up and can't put it down type entertainment. It's not like that. Like, you're going to have to treat it like a textbook. But if you're the type of person who gets into that kind of thing, you'll learn a lot, and you can apply it to whatever species of fish that you're trying to catch. Obviously, don't go out trolling 5 miles an hour or faster trying to catch a catfish. You're not going to have much success. But as far as, the type of places to fish, That's very valuable. Just the information of how fish move, how they relate to structure, that's super valuable stuff. And Buck figured that out. I mean, long before technology, man. I mean, I can't imagine somebody like him today with his brain and how he goes about, how he went about approaching fishing, combined with modern day technology. I mean, what a combination that would have been. If instead of him showing up to a lake and basically having to make his own contour map, if he could have just showed up and knew the contours when he got there and had the map card right there on his graph, like, man. And Buck used to talk about, see, back in them days, you didn't have them geese up there. They're going to drive us crazy. But Buck would talk about when he would be trolling with the spoon plugs and hook a fish, he'd kill the motor, drop anchor, and make some casts because the school could be there. Could be a random straggler fish, could be a school. You don't know till you get on them right there and make a cast. So he'd kill the motor, drop anchor down, make some casts. Well, actually, what he'd do, he kept a marker buoy, like them plastic marker buoys with the lead on them. You throw them out and they flip around till it hits the bottom. He'd catch a fish, he'd throw out that marker buoy, circle back, anchor down on that spot, and then make some casts until he figured out if the school was there or not. And you think about that now. Oh, I got hit finally. You think about that now with the technology, with us. If he was doing that modern day, he wouldn't have to anchor. He could hit the spot lock on the trolling motor. How much time would that save? You know, and same with using the marker buoy. Like now, let's say he's out there and he's trolling along, he catches a fish. Well, he don't have to throw out the damn marker buoy. He just hits a button on the screen, makes a GPS point. Then he circles back around right quick, hits the spot lock. He don't have to, when he's done, he don't have to pull up his anchor. He don't have to pull up that marker buoy line. Like, he would have saved so much time with modern day technology. And it's like, how, I mean, he caught huge bass in places that people wasn't catching them. I can only imagine the success he would have in modern day times. He'd have more success than what we're having out here today. Can't catch a damn bluegill, I'll tell you that. I don't know why we can't catch any small fish. Like, are they just not any up here? I would have thought surely there'd be some up here. I saw some there last week when I was down here at near the boat ramp. When I was taken out that day, I saw some. But by gosh, we ain't had, I thought up for sure up here at as we got closer to the lock wall, we'd run into some. I really thought today we'll have a big number of fish day up here on the Shrimp Rat. Variety of species. If you'd told me today I was going to come out here and we'd have, I don't know how long we've been just ultralight fishing alone. Seems like we've spent, what, 30, 45 minutes catching skipjack? But if you told me at this point in the ultralight session we'd have a grand total of three fish caught, or three bites, 2 fish caught, I'd have laughed in your face. But by gosh, the joke would have been on me, wouldn't it? Because here we are. I'm gonna throw up here on this concrete too. There might be something. This concrete on this lock here will oftentimes have algae growing on it. And a shad, the bait fish, they'll eat on that algae. And the predator fish will kind of hang out there too, oftentimes. But them geese up there will drive a man nuts. Them geese up there, they're like them people that go to the comedy shows and cause a scene and then walk out 5 minutes into the show. That's what them geese are like right now. If them geese up there, if they could afford a ticket to see Dave Chappelle, they'd walk out. I'm just too cheap for that, I guess. If I'm going to buy a ticket to a show, I'm going to enjoy the show. By gosh. Tickets ain't cheap these days. My girlfriend bought me some Jelly Roll tickets. He's coming to Knoxville on, I think it's October something or other. But she bought me some Jelly Roll tickets for my birthday. And them things, hell, the time we got nosebleeds. Like we're not down there on the floor or anything. I mean, it's high up in the rafters, man. Nosebleeds. But time they add on their ticket fees and all that, hell, it was like, I think she spent $400 on 2 tickets. So I don't care if he's out there singing with a hoarse voice. I ain't getting up and walking out. Not after spending that much. I don't understand people. They got more money than brains, I reckon. They're going to buy a ticket to a show just to get up and walk out. They think they're making their point, though. And the worst thing is they get attention for it because some news journalist that ain't got crap else to talk about is going to write a damn news story about it, you know. They'll write an article about it. It'll be headline news. Dave Chappelle come to Podunk Town and 11 people walked out in the first 5 minutes. Like that's a news story in Podunkville, you know. It's sad. It's sad that that's where we're at. But that's the world we live in today, folks. And it trickles all the way down even to somebody like me that just likes to go fishing. If I say something even as random as me giving a opinion on a type of kayak I've used and something I want to see out of a kayak company in the future, boy, it's controversial, man. News at 11. It's the most polarizing man in America. These people, though, boy, if they think I'm polarizing with the crap I've said on video, Lord Almighty, it'd be. If they saw text messages between me and Pro Moderator, holy cow. Their heads would explode. They'd melt down. I mean, him and I, we talk very bad to each other. You know, it's all in good fun. We're joking about it, but like the names we call each other, the stuff we say, it wouldn't, taken out of context, it would not go over well. Y'all, we can't get a bite up through here. This is honestly very surprising. I don't know, maybe I'm not letting it sink down far enough. I feel like I'm giving it a little time. We'll fish our way down through here. We'll circle around, hit some of them rocks over there. And we may go back to trolling for a little while. See if we can find them skipjack and cast to them. Since the ultralight ain't paying off for us right here. I'd be happy to get on some small bluegill at this point. Like you'd think there'd be some small bluegill down through here. Tell you what though, it's turned out to be the fog's lifted and it's a beautiful day out here. comfortable temperature. Sunny right now. You know what else I need to do? I need to get me a thumbnail down here by this dam, y'all. Don't let me forget to do that today before I leave. I'm bad about fishing and forgetting I need to take a picture or something to put on a thumbnail. That's one thing about doing this YouTube nonsense that I've never gotten into. I just don't enjoy is the thumbnails and the video titles. I always struggle with that. And if you notice, these unedited, raw and uncut videos, like I've just thrown in the towel. Like, I mean, I've put out total on my channel like 800 videos or more, I guess, now at this point. I've been doing it so long. I'm out of clickbait titles, man. Like, I'm out. Like, I've used every word combination I can use. At this point, today's video will probably be like, however long we fish, 3 hours, 4 hours, raw and uncut, ultralight fishing with Gulp minnows, or bait fishing with crappie magnets, or something, you know, something like that. It'll be totally generic. My thumbnail here is going to be me taking a picture somewhere down here by the dam, since that's where we're fishing at. And that's it, man. I'm throwing up there. I've give up on the damn clickbait stuff. Like, you get more views if you clickbait and come out with these exaggerated titles and whatnot, and these dramatic thumbnail pictures, but it's so damn stupid. And again, I mean, hell, I'm the pot calling the kettle black here. Like, I've done it. I've done it for years because, you know, I'm doing this YouTube. You got to play the game, right? But it's stupid. Like, I hate it. So I've just pretty much got the point. I just quit. I'm just going fishing, man. I don't want to edit videos. I don't want to have to do stupid thumbnails. I don't want to have to come up with dumb titles. Like, I'm going fishing. Whoever wants to come with me, come on. If they don't, if I got to work that damn hard to get somebody to click on a video or come with me, I just don't need them anymore. I'm at that point, like, I just don't need it that bad. The new thing that people are doing on there, I'm sure y'all have seen this a bunch. And it's actually become, I'm so annoyed by it, it's become a pet peeve. And because I'm not one of these people that gets up and walks out of a comedy show after buying a ticket that I knew I was going to be offended at, I don't put myself in those situations where I'm going to be annoyed if I can help it. So when one of these YouTubers makes a thumbnail or title that I just am annoyed by, I'm just like, you know what, unsubscribe. I get the hell on. I don't subject myself to it anymore. And so there was a YouTuber, I don't want to, should I say the name? It's not in my genre, but it's a YouTuber I've enjoyed through the years. I won't say the name. It's not in the fishing genre. I don't watch many fishing videos. But they started out living in a tiny house, and now they've built their own little homestead. Oh, here we go. Oh, I had one. I finally had a bite, y'all. I finally had a hit. I butchered it. But anyway, it's a girl on there, and her boyfriend, they were living in a very small travel trailer, tiny house type thing. And now they've bought some land, and they've been building a house, and then, you know, you just kind of follow along their journey through all this. They've got a dog that's I like, and, you know, anyway. But the thing they done, or she done, he wasn't in this particular thumbnail, but it's technically her channel, and then she changed the name of it to her name and his name after it kind of took off. I think he's got his own podcast now, and I think he's written a book too. So he's kind of doing his own social media thing in addition to her YouTube channel there. Anyway, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to just bury these people, because I mean, they can make whatever thumbnail they want, and their channel's a lot more successful than mine, so what the hell do I know? I shouldn't be critiquing them anyway. But just from my own pet peeve. Oh, did you see that? There was a skipjack come up right there. He was a tiny one. Well, I just cast, I got the dang line wrapped around my rod tip. What the hell did we do that? We almost had us another bite though. A little baby skipjack come up. But anyway, this pet peeve of mine. The new thing that they're doing now is they're doing this kind of clickbait title, like it'll say something like, "We need to talk," or "This has to change," or it's over now. And that'll be the title. And the thumbnail will be of them like with a face. You know what I mean? Like they'll have a serious face or a sad face or some dramatic face, you know. Like that's the thumbnail of the video. And every time I see one of those, I'm like, this is just stupid. And whatever it is, like this has to change or it's over, it's just clickbait BS. It's never anything of substance and it ain't just her channel, it's any of the channels. It's none of them. It's all just clickbait BS, and it works. Those videos tend to get more clicks than regular videos, but I can't stand it, man. So anytime I see somebody, if I've followed them and they make that, I unsubscribe, because I know I'm going to be annoyed by it, and I don't want to be annoyed. So I've watched this girl and her boyfriend for years, and not consistently. I don't want to make it sound like I just watch every video. I don't. I watch maybe one video. I've watched them enough that I've been able to follow their journey and kind of know what they're up to and what's going on. But like I don't watch every day. I might watch 1 or 2 videos a month type thing. But I'm like, you know, I think it's time I move on, because I just can't stand that. And I'm not going to be one of these people that goes on there and tries to tell them what to do or gets on their comment box and, you know, all that. I'm like, okay, it's run its course with me. It's over. I move on. There's 5 million more YouTube channels out there. There's plenty of other hot girls doing their, you know, and it was just, I don't even know how I found her originally. It was just a fascinating story of her and her boyfriend there living in that little travel trailer, tiny house thing. Tiny houses were a big deal a few years ago, like they were the fad. And so that stuff was getting pushed, and I guess I found it during that and just, you know, went down the rabbit hole. But I'm over it now. And it ain't just her or that genre. I mean, it's like, there's a bunch of fishing channels doing that crap now too. I ain't watching none of them. I just can't get into it, man. And I guess that's why I'm not a very good YouTuber. Because in theory, I should be willing to do just anything for a click, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Like, you're never going to see me with that kind of, I mean, I'll clickbait some stuff with some titles and some thumbnails, but I ain't doing that. You're not going to see me with just a sad face saying, let's talk. I got to draw the line somewhere, you know, even if it costs me some clicks. Same thing with the comment box. You know, some people are they're so happy to get a click. They don't care if the person's being rude or inappropriate in the comment box. Like, they'll allow it and encourage it because they think that getting that extra comment's going to help their channel. You know, it's going to help get them more engagement and get their videos pushed more. And I'm like, somebody smarts off to me in the comment box, I block their ass. They ain't somebody I want to deal with. If I gotta interact with people like that to get a click, I just don't need to click that bad. I just don't want it that bad. But that's why I'm not willing to, that's why I'm not going to be a big superstar, I guess. One of the reasons. There's a lot of reasons why I'm not going to be a big YouTube superstar, but that's definitely on the list. We got some water flowing out here this grate. You'd think there might be something possibly around here, but we can't buy a damn bluegill. I'm trying to think if I've ever, I know I ain't done it on video, but I'm trying to think if I ever had a damn ultralight trip where I've thrown the Gulp and not caught at least a few bluegill. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had days where I didn't catch a lot of fish or catch many fish, but no bluegill? Have I said something to offend the bluegill? Have they walked out on me? Have the bluegill boycotted me? I don't know. That's where we're at with it, y'all. These damn bluegill, they've canceled me, man. Bluegill, they're done with me. They said if I ain't going to use them for bait no more often than I do, they ain't going to keep biting my lures. They want to be bait. They want to be on this channel. I'll be crap, man. I really thought over there on the wing wall, like, we had that one little baby skipjack chase us, but I thought there'd be some stuff over there. And I thought kind of right in here in this corner too, there'd be some stuff. Well, fiddlesticks, y'all. Where we at? We're almost 3 hours into this trip. Ain't got but, well, we got a cooler full of skipjacks. I don't want to say we ain't had a lot of fish, because we could have sat there, we could have probably had 100 skipjack by now if we had kept just fishing for skipjack. We'd probably had 50 to 100 of those, and we'd have had a good time doing it too. But I just wanted to do some ultralight fishing, and I'm happy with the bass that we've got. I truly am, but I wanted more today, man. I wanted more bites. Honestly, y'all, I'm kind of getting, those of you that have seen my channel, you know, I don't do well. I'm impatient. I'm very patient when I'm catfishing. I can sit there long periods of time with baits in the water waiting on fish, okay? I can totally do that catfishing. But when I'm casting, I don't do well making a lot of casts and not getting bit. Like mentally, like I'm very impatient. And my patience shrinks throughout the day. Like, for instance, let's say I'm having a good ultralight trip and I'm catching fish about every other cast. And then all of a sudden I go 10, 15, 20 casts and I don't get a bite. Man, I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong here? You know, like, I got to get on it type thing. And we've made a bunch of casts down through here. We've covered a lot of water for the few bites that we've gotten. No white bass, no yellow bass. Like you would think up here, there'd be some yellow bass on these rocks. I don't know, just one of them days, y'all, one of them days, but we got us 2 really nice bass, and I'm gonna make a few more casts, and I think I'm gonna get back on the troll to see if we can go find them skipjack. I'm not gonna keep any more, but it'd be fun just to catch a few. Y'all wanna go catch some more skipjack with me? If any of you are still here. See, here's another advantage of you going fishing with me through video versus real life. Like if we were out in a boat together, when you fishing with somebody on the boat, you're kind of stuck. They out there burping and farting all day, and you're stuck in the boat with them till they're ready to leave. But fishing with me like this through video, you can leave anytime. You got other stuff to do today, you got an appointment, you want to click on one of them other YouTube videos where they got their face with a frowny face saying we need to talk, you can do it. No obligation. All right, we're making one more cast with this Gulp, and I'm throwing in the towel on it today. We're gonna go try to catch a few more skipjack, and then go let Daphne the dog out the house, have some lunch, and do some stuff around the house today. And then tomorrow morning, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going after cats tomorrow. There's a morning bite that's been happening like 8:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock has been the window lately, man. Like that's been a prime time feeding window. Now I'm hoping it's still going on. We had some rain yesterday. I didn't fish at all yesterday because we had some. I guess some people had some storms. We had some rain at my house. It rained pretty hard yesterday morning up until about noon. And so let's make one more cast. I'm gonna let this one sink down a good ways. But I didn't fish yesterday, and so we had that little front come through all that rain. And I don't know if that will maybe have changed up the bite at all or not, but I'm gonna find out in the morning. I'm gonna go somewhere and maybe fish from about sunrise to lunch. And y'all know that's kind of my fishing schedule. I can't believe this though. We can't catch a damn bluegill today. That's just mind-boggling. And you know, now with we'll get on skipjack somewhere probably, but the sun, the weather or the fog's lifted. You know, the sun's out now. Whereas this morning we were getting them skipjack there. It was still foggy. Take that Gulp off your hook. You let them things stay on your hook, they'll dry on there, and it'll be hard as a rock. Well, here I was busting your balls about not filling up the damn bait tank with water before we left the dock, and we didn't even end up needing it, unless we just get lucky and catch a small white bass or a small drum on these jigs here. I'm less optimistic. Well, we might catch some white bass. If we keep a white bass, it needs to be a small one, as the bigger ones in my 5-gallon container won't survive. But less optimistic, especially like something like a drum. I'm less optimistic about getting it on these jigs trolling than what I was of us hooking one on the Gulp, working these rocks. Put that up there. Let's get on the move here and get that one going. We'll cast out this other. We'll troll down through here, y'all. Let's go troll until we find some. If we get on a school real thick, we'll make some casts to them. Just having some fun out here, y'all. I'm glad I brought that net today, though. I don't know if we'd have landed that smallmouth. Maybe not have landed the largemouth either without that net. I'd have had to try to get hold of them, and that's where you're at risk with your 2-pound line. That's your greatest risk when you're trying to reach down and grab hold of a fish. You got to try to get control of it, and your natural instinct is to grab your line. And so if that fish does a head shake, my gosh, look right here. Oh, he come off. He come off. I think that was a small one. But you grab that line with a firm grip and he shakes his head, that fish is gone. Bear with me a second here, y'all. It's allergy season still, and I gotta use my handkerchief here, get my nose cleared. I need to blow my nose, but I don't want to be that rude on camera. Always carry a snot rag in the spring. That's a pro tip. You never know when you're gonna need it. My girlfriend makes fun of me about my snot rag, but I use it every day. Don't leave home without your snot rag. I may have to put my buff on too here. That sun beating down, I can feel my ears starting to burn. Fella over there on the bank, I ain't seen him catch nothing yet. I don't know what he's fishing for though. Got another boat working that riprap that we was at over earlier. I may sneak us over here a little bit closer to this riprap over here and see if we can't pick off a bass or something. I catch a fair amount of bass on these crappie magnets while I'm trolling for skipjack throughout the year. I do catch both largemouth and smallmouth. I get more bass when I'm trolling spoons. Like I use them sumo spoons. And I'll catch more bass with those than I do the jigs. Something about that action of the spoon, I think it just triggers more bass bites. But out here today, I wanted skipjacks. Skipjack's what I've been doing the best with, and so that's what I wanted today. So I wanted to focus on those. But in the summer months, I like using white bass more frequently. I do better on white bass in the summer for some reason than I do other times of the year. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Just like that, back on some skipjack. He's lucky though, he's gonna get let go. Come on, Skippy. Come on up in here. You old Skippity Jack. Skippity Jack, don't talk back. Give me that jig back, fish. Give me it back. Give myself a little slack here. That'd help my cause, wouldn't it? I might have to use pliers on that thing, y'all. I can't get to it. There we go. Get out of here, Skippy. It's your lucky day. There you go. That's a rare sight right there. Ain't nobody lets a skipjack go. But I just done it. You saw it on camera. Ain't no point in keeping more than you need. That's just wasteful. Yeah, there's so many skipjack in here right now. It don't matter where you move through, you're gonna have your baits in front of them. If they're active, they're gonna eat it. I thought we might get over here on these rocks and maybe get a bass, possibly. Something about that spoon, though, the action of the spoon, it just triggers more bass bites. So in the summer, when I want white bass more, I'll use the spoons more for trolling. But outside of the hot months, June, July, August, I just don't do as good on white bass. Skipjack's a year-round bait. I do better on shad in the winter months when like water temps in the 40s, low 50s. Crappie I seem to do better at late winter, early spring, you know, water temps in the 50s, low 50s. There goes the cop again. Some bass fishermen over there. I think they're heading over here our way. I don't know what they're doing. You know what we might do? We may end up, well, I don't know. We were getting them right in here earlier. Thought we might go that other side over there. The current is coming out over here on our right, out to turbines. I thought we might run over there possibly. But let's stay on this side. We know they were over here earlier. It's still early enough in the day, they probably haven't increased the current flow any yet. Usually we don't have a lot of flow. We haven't been having a lot of flow any hour of the day lately, but usually in the morning hours, it's the least amount of flow of the day. Another bank fisherman over there. We'll see if we can give him plenty of space and make our way down through here. I may just go ahead, we get back down here to the car, I may go ahead and call it a day. Where we at on time here? I was just gonna fish till about late. Well, hell, we're 3 hours into this. It don't feel like it's been as long as it has been today. I guess because we was catching all them skipjack first thing. You get on a bite like that and it just don't seem like it don't seem like time is passing as quickly as it is. It's fun though. Maybe we should have kept doing that a little while longer, but you know what? I'm happy with that. That was a big smallmouth, man. I mean, I know the ultralight fishing did not pan out. Like this is, numbers-wise, one of the worst, as far as quantity goes, it's one of the worst sessions of ultralight fishing using the Gulp I've ever had, I think, just numbers-wise. Like, I mean, only landing 2 fish on the Gulp. I mean, like that's, especially as much water as we covered, like that's pretty incredible. But the smallmouth and the large, I mean, those were nice fish on it, so I'm still feeling like we had a successful ultralight session, even though the numbers and the variety of species just wasn't there. I've had a good day regardless. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it today. We'll see if we can't catch us some more skipjack on the way down through here. They're still out here somewhere. Look at that one there a minute ago on up, but you know, you get out here, these skipjack, like I said earlier, they're moving all the time, man. Just because we were getting them down through here earlier don't necessarily mean they're still going to be here when we come back. They could have chased bait or been chased, who knows where out here, but they're in this area. And I promise you, let's say we were getting started right now, like if we just rolled into the ramp, come out here, like we're just now getting started looking for skipjack. We cover enough water out here trolling around, we'd find them again somewhere. They may, you know, they may have moved, who knows where out here. It's possible they're maybe a little deeper right now, maybe with the sun where it is in the sky. But this water's clear enough right now. Even if they're a little deeper, they're gonna see your baits up above them. Skipjack feed up. So we'd find them. I promise you, we'd find them. If somebody rolled in right now and was looking for skipjack, you'd get on them. There's just too many of them here right now not to be catching them. They take you a little while. If they're deeper, you may not get as many, but you get them. Them smokestacks over there, they're a pretty sight right there, ain't they? It's like a, I don't even know what you'd call it, what you describe it. But a day like today, sunny, clear skies, got the smoke coming out of them things. It's a pretty sight. Beautiful country down here. Back home, you know, I live closest to Fort Loudon, and it's so developed. Like, it's just every inch of shoreline's just about got a house on it. And there's so much pleasure boat traffic up through there. You can't, spring, summer, early fall, like you can't hardly fish weekends or afternoon hours. If you're going to fish Fort Loudon, spring, summer, early fall, you got to go out weekday mornings early, because otherwise you're just pounded with boat wake and just nonstop. Takes the fun out of it. And there's just development everywhere. But you get down here further south. You know, I fished Alabama there last month, that tournament. Fished down on Wilson and Pickwick. Man, it's just beautiful country. I wish, you know, and you can't do that this day and time, but I wish there was more areas on lakes that were kind of off limit, I guess, for development, or maybe had restrictions as far as how close your house could be to the water, you know, because it just, then I know the people that like living on the water but don't like really, not into fishing, you know, they'd revolt against such a thing. But you go somewhere, you take like Dale Hollow, for instance. Man, it's out there. You can go down long stretches of Dale Hollow and not see any civilization at all, man. Like, it's just pristine. It's awesome. I'd like to fish there more. I should, really. It's not that far a drive. I just don't. I'll probably get over there at some point this spring or summer. I went there last fall because I talked about getting over there and doing an ultralight trip, but I didn't do any good. I got more numbers of fish on that trip than what I got ultralight fishing out here this morning, but I ended up scrapping the video because it just wasn't enough action to justify posting. But it was just beautiful area. I'm gonna try to get back out there. I want to go back there, and I want to go back to Chilhowie Lake, which is a It's kind of like a mountain. It's at the base of the foothill mountains over there. And I'd went there last year and filmed a video and had a good time. Didn't catch a lot of fish on that trip either, but I got several bass on that trip. So I'm gonna go back over there, and I'd like to go to Reelfoot at some point. Me and Ryan Bortz had talked about going, but we got this thing, National Kayak Catfishing Tournament Trail at it's King Cat's boat tournament trail, their kayak division this year. And the tournaments right now are pretty much like every 2 or 3 weeks we got a tournament right now, and so it's hard to get any other kind of fishing road trips in outside of that tournament schedule, because I don't want to be gone all the time. I'm kind of a homebody. So I've been focused on fishing that trail this year. So we got some more tournaments coming up with it. I think we do have a month off in July. I don't think there's any tournament in the month of July. There's 2 in May, 2 in June. I think July is empty, and then August, I'm wanting to say, I think August is back down in Alabama, I think, on Wheeler. But I'm hoping some of these places I go, like Hoover Reservoir, for instance, up in Ohio, it's up in Columbus. Last year, when we had our catfish tournament up there, I got on some good crappie. And so I'm going to try to do some ultralight fishing up there when I go. I'm going to go up there early, a few days. And I pretty much know what my plan's going to be, just based on last year and the fact this tournament is the same time period. I pretty much know what I want to do for the catfish tournament. So when I go up early, I'll spend a little time catfishing, but I want to do some ultralight fishing. And I also want to try to do some carp fishing, because I've been told that Hoover has some really big buffalo in it. And so I'm going to probably spend at least part of a day doing some carp fishing just to see if I can get a big buffalo. So that'd be pretty awesome. So I'll be doing that. And then the other Ohio tournament is Sandusky Bay. And it's a channel cat tournament, which y'all know how I am about that, but I'll probably go to it. But I think I'm going to spend some time up there. They've got a lot of carp up there too, in Sandusky Bay. And so I think I'm going to, assuming, and again, it's one of those places I already know where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do for the tournament. So I don't really need to go up there super early. But if I do end up going up a day or so early, I'm going to probably try to get a carp session in up there and just see if I can catch something. That was one last year. I took the ultralight rod with me to Sandusky Bay. And that was another place that I struggled to catch anything with the damn ultralight. I just couldn't really get on much. But some of those places, like that, like when we're going somewhere and it's a far enough drive that I need to go and pre-fish and spend a little time there before, some of the tournaments around here, like when we had our Chickamauga tournament here, that's close enough to my house that I come down, did my pre-fishing, and would drive home in the same day. The night before the tournament, I didn't have to get a hotel. I just slept in my own bed and got up a little earlier to come down for the tournament. But you go to some of these other places that's 4 hours away, 6 hours away, 7 hours away. You're going to drive that far, you might as well just commit to it for a few days and see what you can get into, But I want to do some other types of fishing at these places too, not just catfishing. I was kind of wishing I had done that more when I was down there practicing for the Alabama tournament. Back in March, I'd spent some time on Wilson and some time on Pickwick and pre-fishing. I'd went down there twice before the tournament, just little 2-day sessions. And man, you get down there, some of those places, like you take Wilson for instance, and you got that long stretch of just a rock wall there. I'm like, man, that's calling my name with the dang ultralight, buddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just begging for me to throw that jig, man. Start fantasizing, daydreaming about it, you know what I mean? Like, what all you gonna catch down through there? And surely to goodness we'd get more fish than what we got out here on these riprap, these rocks today. But I bet you get down there on Wilson there in Alabama on them rocks, man, I bet you there's some smallmouth there too. I don't know what kind of bass they're catching down there in Alabama. When I was down there, I saw a bunch of bass boats. Like it's in the South, bass fishing it's the sport fish here in the South. But you know, just culturally, that's the way it is. But I don't know what they're catching down there bass-wise in Alabama. But I'd be curious to know what I could get off them rocks there. I wish I had spent more time. I wouldn't have to spend a whole day. Like I could have spent a couple hours. In hindsight, I wish I had have. Next time we have a tournament down there and I'm down there practicing, I'm going to make it a point to take my ultralight rod. I was trying to get ready for that tournament, and I was doing so poorly in my pre-fishing that I felt like I needed to spend every second of my pre-fishing getting ready for the tournament, and I ended up winning. I mean, it paid off. I won that particular tournament, but you know, you don't want to get so focused on a tournament that you don't take time to stop and smell the flowers, smell the roses or whatever, and do some other things. I'm fortunate with this YouTube stuff that, you know, if I go somewhere to fish a tournament, if I don't do well in the tournament itself, from an ego perspective, it's a little bit of a blow, right? Like, you know, I mean, that sucks. But as long as I'm able to get some video, get some content while I'm there, well, I'm probably going to cover my expenses as far as traveling and tournament entry fees and stuff like that. So, you know, from that perspective, it's silly for me not to just do some other types of fishing while I'm there. But you know how us men are, there's ego on the line, and we gotta, you know, of course me and Ryan Boards there, we talk a lot of trash to each other, so when one of us wins against the other, we don't let the loser hear the end of it, you know. We ride the other person until the next tournament, you know. So you don't want to get. I took a picture with him there at the Chickamauga tournament. He won. I finished second place, and I allegedly took a picture with him raising his arm in victory. He shared it all over the interweb. I said, I bet that's AI generated, you know. That's what happens nowadays when these little influencer girls have their nudie tapes and nudie pictures exposed. They claim it's AI generated. Maybe some of them are. I don't believe it's probably not 100% of them are AI generated, but you know what I mean. And I was commenting on Ryan's post that looked AI generated to me. But we have a good time riding each other over who beats who in these tournaments. I tell all them other fellas, like, I don't care if I finish in next to last place as long as Ryan's one spot behind me. You know what I mean? We ain't got a daggone thing coming down through here, have we? We hooked that one that I lost up there right after we got started up there in the lock area. And we ain't had another bite coming down through here. They've clearly moved or went deeper. If we slowed our speed down, our jigs would fall deeper. Or if we made longer casts, we could get them to run a little deeper. And sometimes I'll do that in the kind of peak midday when the sun's at its highest and clearer water. Sometimes it will drive fish down a little deeper. I'm not going to try that out here right now because, I mean, we've got a cooler full of bait. I'm going to pack up and head to the house. You know what y'all let me forget to do? Boy, I tell you what, why I can't count on you for. I told you to remind me, get a damn thumbnail up there at the dam. Y'all, let me forget. Y'all, let me forget, y'all. That's okay. I see, man, anymore, I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached. I mean, I can't remember a dang thing. Forgot to, I mean, I launched my kayak this morning right here at the ramp. And when I put it in the water, I pulled it up on the shore, and I made a mental note. I said, I'm going to fill that bucket, my live bait bucket, full of water when I get back down after I park the car. And I'll walk back down, hop in the kayak, and off I go. Never thought about it again. I don't know how I forget stuff so easily and so quickly, but I do. But we've pedaled all the way down through here, and I didn't get my damn thumbnail. I guess I'll run over here to them. I'll run over there to that them barge moorings over there is what I'll do. I'll take a thumbnail there. Well, let's get these reels, or these rigs reeled in. And I'm gonna go do that. And I think I'm gonna go to the house and let Daphne the dog out. Let her have some fun, maybe race her on the electric bike. I'm gonna get me some lunch. And then y'all wave at these bass boaters going by over here. I got my hands full. I waved. I took my hand off the reel long enough to wave because I'm friendly like that. I may not want to talk to anybody on the water, but I'll at least wave at them. All right, y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna run right over here and grab me a thumbnail over on them, whatever them things are. I don't even know what they're called. Barge things? I don't know. Y'all know what they are. Y'all can educate me in the comment box. Them structures standing out of the water there. I'm gonna do a thumbnail there. And then I'm gonna run back across the channel here. I'm gonna get the heck out. I'm gonna have to bring me out a notepad, y'all. Like a little dry erase board or something. A chalkboard. And when something pops in my head, like get a thumbnail down there at the dam, I'm gonna have to write that down while I'm thinking about it. Because I mean, hell, we paddled a damn half mile down through here and it never, thankfully I remembered while I'm still on the water. There's been a lot of days where I ain't done that. Remember it on the way home or something. But anyway, y'all, I'm rambling on. I hope you enjoyed today. Coming out here on a little bait run with me and what was supposed to be an ultralight trip, although we did get us a real nice smallmouth and a real nice largemouth. So I'm not disappointed about that. Just can't believe we couldn't find a bluegill anywhere down through there. A white bass, a yellow bass, a drum, nothing, just bass. So I don't know, but we got a cooler full of skipjack ready to go catfishing tomorrow. Don't know where I'll go. Should be my next video though, it'll be a catfish trip. So yeah, you wanna come fishing with me then? Come on. If you're one of them people that wants to walk out of the Dave Chappelle show and I've said something to offend you today, well, hopefully you'll stay walked out. So we don't need you around here anyway, but all right, y'all. I'm gonna run right over here, get my thumbnail. I'm gonna go play with Daphne the dog. I'll see you tomorrow, or, well, it won't be. I'll film the next video tomorrow. It'll be a couple, 3 days before it comes out. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm out here for real this time. I'll see you.